What up, everybody? Good morning. Happy Wednesday. DK Show up on the air right now on your radio dials of 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available online, sportstalk1051.com. Got your Google and Alexa home devices. The Sports Talk app, download it, take it on the go wherever you're at. So you got the video stream also up and rolling this morning on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. But big thanks for making us a part of your start here for this Wednesday morning, making a turn on the week here. What do we got? What do we got on the game plan for us this morning? Brewers securing another, excuse me, series win with a 3-1 victory last night against the Texas Rangers. So Brew Crew getting it done again with another series win. They will try to go for a sweep later this afternoon. Wilson picking up the win last night for the Crew. Joey Ortiz hitting a home run there. Will Contreras collecting a couple of hits last night, maybe getting back to what he was doing a little bit earlier in the season. But yeah, 8 total hits for the Crew and 3 runs. And Brewers able, after Milner started the game and pitched the first 2 innings, giving up 1 earned run. Wilson coming in, nice bounce back performance from Bryce Wilson last night, going 6 innings, just giving up 3 hits, no walks, 4 Ks. Brewers didn't walk a single batter last night. No free bases for anybody, or I should say, for any Texas Ranger in the game last night. So after giving up 5 earned runs on 7 hits in his previous start back on the 20th, Bryce Wilson comes back and has himself very good, very solid start last night and picking up the win to improve to 5-3 overall this season. And as we mentioned, the Crew will try to go for the sweep later today. Got an afternoon game for the Crew. First pitch at 1:10. Brewers also making a move. Well, I mean, making a couple moves. They sent Carlos Rodriguez back to AAA, which no surprise, I don't think to anybody out there. But they also made a trade, acquiring Dallas Keuchel from the Seattle Mariners for cash. Keuchel, pitching in the minor leagues with the Mariners, is a former Cy Young Award winner back in 2015. Spent a little bit with the Twins last year too, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the expectations should be for Keuchel, but I guess they're bringing in a veteran lefty to add to the rotation. He was 7-4 with a 3.93 ERA and 13 starts for AAA Tacoma after signing a minor league deal with the Mariners. So Pat Murphy saying, I don't know if it'll be this week, but you don't sign him to keep him in the minor leagues. We're not looking for minor league depth with our pitching situation. So yeah, he's gonna be with the Major League Ball Club, no doubt about it. He will be up there. So, but I don't think, at least I hope, this isn't the last and only move that the Brewers make in terms of adding some pitching depth and such. But again, we shall see as the rest of the the trade deadline coming up at the end of next month. So we'll talk some Brewers, we'll talk some baseball throughout this morning here. You can join in on the convo by hitting us up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. It is also day 1, round 1, I should say, of the NBA draft. That'll be tonight. What will the Bucks do? Will they make the pick at number 23? Will they package it as part of a trade? Will they move it around? All that sort of stuff. More rumblings and rumors about could they move on from one of their guys at like Pat Connaughton, Brooke Lopez, Bobby Portis, any of those guys? Could they be a part of a trade at some point today involving this draft? The one downer that maybe makes, some trades unlikely is that this draft depth is not that great, according to the experts out there. Not the greatest draft out there. So, we'll see maybe some future picks involved in this thing. But yeah, not. I mean, if how much are you? Be honest. How much are you looking forward to the draft? If you're even paying attention to it tonight, I mean, it doesn't have a whole lot of bluster to it for the first time in the NBA too that they're making it 2 rounds with this thing. And let's be real, what's going to be the main storyline that major networks and major media peeps are going to follow? Where is Bronny getting drafted? Where's he going to be in this whole thing? Is he going to be a second round pick? Is he going to, a team going to sneak in back into the first round and make a selection? That's here's the thing though too. If this draft is so horrible, like the experts are saying, and then you got Bronny James in this thing, and some people say he should be like a back end second rounder. I mean, okay, so in a normal year at best, he's not even drafted. I mean, what does that say? So, gosh, I don't know how to feel about this draft. I'm not 100% into it. And I don't know if there's a player. Like, part of me too is like, I want the Bucks to get players who will contribute and help out this year. And because I mean, we're in championship now, bust, championship or bust mode. And if this draft is that awful, if it's that bad, is there really going to be a guy in this draft that can help out day one? I mean, look at the last couple of drafts. We're still waiting for those guys like a Marjan Beauchamp or Andre Jackson Jr. And Andre Jackson Jr., we got to see him at least a little bit in the postseason there. But I mean, we're waiting for a couple of those guys to kind of, get some more playing time and be some contributors. Maybe the last one was Dante DiVincenzo, and now he's a big part of what the Knicks are trying to do over there. So I don't know. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling this draft. Hopefully I'm wrong. And honestly, part of me, I think, is wishing and hoping that we are going to see maybe a package of trading or moving around or something like that. But we'll know. We'll see. We'll go through the latest updates and rumors surrounding the Bucks, though. I mean, if you are a diehard Bucks fan, if you're a diehard Hoops fan, is there a guy in this draft that you would like to maybe see the Packers go after? Is there a guy that's maybe in that 20 range that you've been maybe scouring the mock drafts out there and you're all into this thing and you got a couple names out there? Hey, let me know. All right, hit me up. I'm game. I'm ready to hear it. So hit me up with a text. 715-830-1912. All right. So we'll throw that little hoops talk in there. We got the Knicks making big time trade last night. Bridges. I mean, they're trying to create, Villanova over there and have 4 starters now, all coming from Villanova. So, but I mean, when you look at the Eastern Conference, okay, you've got Boston that's going to be up there. The Knicks are going to be up there. Pacers are trending upward. Where are the Bucks at this point in time? I mean, are the Bucks still top 3 team in the East, top 2 team in the East, top 4 team in the East, top 5? Where would you have this Bucks team now? I'd put Boston up there. I'd put the Knicks up there now, especially after acquiring Bridges last night. So Bucks, I think, got to make some moves yet still this offseason. Try to get creative with their roster building. So what else do we got on the docket here this morning? We'll do another edition of Business of Sports coming up in about an hour and 45. Yeah, about 8 o'clock here this morning. We'll continue our bracket challenge for trying to determine who is going to be the most underrated Wisconsin sports athlete of all time. Yesterday, Scott Tolzien picking up a win over Mike Wilkinson. And then the other one here, where were we? We did the Amagri Was it Brandon Jennings over there? Like, yeah, what was it, Brandon Jennings? I'll have to double check it. But nonetheless, here are the ones that have moved on: B.J. Surhoff, Jim Gantner, Lyle Overbray, Ben Sheets in the Brewers region. The Badgers region has been Al Toon, Kirk Penny, Scott Tolzien. Bucks/Open region's been Stricker, Brandon Jennings, Terry Porter. Packers region's been Lynn Dickey, Amon Green, and Paul Kaufman. We will announce the next one coming up from the Packers region here after the first break. And again, if you are, let's say, late 90s, early 2000s Packers fan, if that's kind of your wheelhouse, this might be a matchup for you. So we'll get to that, and we'll put it up on Facebook and Twitter for the voting coming up here in just a little bit. So, but let's get things rolling here this morning, shall we? Coming up on the leadoff, let's talk a little Brewers to open up things. Another series win for the Crew as they picked up that 3-1 victory last night. Joey Ortiz trying to make a late case to get some more all-star votes. If you think Joey Ortiz, the rookie, should be on that all-star team, he needs some help with the voting. All right? He needs some help. So get on over there and vote. But we'll talk a little bit about Joey Ortiz and the season he's having, recapping last night's game, looking ahead to today's game. And Dallas Keuchel, what are your expectations for the former Cy Young Award winner coming over with the Brewers as a part of a trade yesterday? So hit us up, join in on the convo with those texts on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. We'll take that first break, and then we'll get things rolling here. Coming up, we'll announce the first matchup. Make sure you're following along on Facebook and Twitter so you can start voting. We'll do a Packers one today, and then coming up in the 8 o'clock hour, we'll do a Bucks/Open one with the NBA draft coming up tonight. With the 4th of July holiday coming up next week, if you got any plans, maybe for some backyard barbecuing, camping trips, whatever the case may be, you want to make sure you're loaded up, got the coolers loaded up, supplies and all that stuff, and no better place to go than to Hy-Vee right here in Eau Claire, whether it's snacks, whether it's meals, whether it's beverages like some Man Cave Light, or even throw some Dan Good burgers on the grills out there. Hy-Vee's got you covered. Plus, heck, if you need a cooler or anything like that, they got everything over there at Hy-Vee. Some swag. Go check out the team shop. Maybe you're going to be checking out some ball games like at Carson Park for the Express and such. But whatever the case may be, or maybe you're heading down to the game in Milwaukee this weekend, check out the team shop over there at Hy-Vee. But if you're going to be doing some camping or some backyard barbecuing with the 4th of July holiday next week, get all your supplies at our good friends from Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. All right, the first matchup is now up there for our bracket challenge for the most underrated Wisconsin sports athlete of all time. And we are back to the Packers region where we've got a couple of Super Bowl champions. One, linebacker George Kuntz, who spent 8 years in Green Bay, totaling 271 tackles. Obviously, part of that 96 Super Bowl team there. But the other one, Tramon Williams, who spent a big chunk of his career in Green Bay, a couple stints in Green Bay over there. Tramon also having one Pro Bowl attached to his resume. So you can either go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/Kasper Sports, Kasper with a K, or Twitter/X at DANKASPER to vote right now. I tell you who I'm voting for. I think it's Tramon Williams. That's where my vote would go for. I'd go with Tramon Williams. Maybe a little bit more of a recency thing, but 10 years in Green Bay, 10, 2, 3, 4, 14 overall at his position coming in. We know the story undrafted, right? Texans and Packers picking him up and working his way up on the roster. But 10 years total in Green Bay, getting 30 interceptions, making some big plays in the postseason. Without his plays in that 2010, 2011 postseason against Philly with the pick in the end zone, the return for a touchdown in the Atlanta game, knocking the ball down in the last pass from Ben Roethlisberger to, was it Mike Wallace in the Super Bowl? They don't win that. They don't win that without Tramon Williams. And Tramon Williams just one Pro Bowl to his resume. Come on now. To me, it's Tramon Williams if my vote counted. So, but it's you, the listeners, whose votes count. So head on over to Facebook and Twitter and make your voices heard. All right, let's get things going here. Talk a little Brewers to open up the program here. Brew Crew picking up another win last night, 3-1 victory. 3-1 victory. Bryce Wilson picking up the win. Technically didn't get the starts, but he was solid once he came in after the first couple of innings, going 6 innings of hitless shutout ball. The Brewers overall, after Bryce Wilson gave up 3 hits, but he came in after Milner. Milner pitched the first 2 innings, gave up a couple hits, 1 earned run there. After that, shut out. Just 3 total hits. Brewers didn't issue any walks, no free runners, no free base runners to the Texas Rangers last night. So an absolutely awesome performance from Bryce Wilson last night and a great bounce back performance from his previous start against the Padres. But he picks up his 5th win of the season to improve to 5-3, lowering his ERA to a 3.89 ERA. Joey Ortiz trying to make a last minute case to move up in the All-Star voting. He picked up a home run, batting leadoff last night. I kind of like what Pat Murphy's doing when they go up against a left-handed starting pitcher. We talk about how they use the openers on their pitching staff, but left-handed starting pitcher, when the Brewers go up against one of those, they put Terang at the bottom of the order. Joey Ortiz leadoff, but I kind of like how Pat Murphy gets a little creative with that lineup there. But Ortiz hitting a solo shot to take the lead. The Brewers taking the lead in the bottom of the fifth, and they added another run in the bottom of the seventh. A little insurance run there. But Joey Ortiz, man, you know, came over part of the package for the Corbin Burnes deal. And it almost felt like when that trade first happened and we started to know about DL Hall and Joey Ortiz, Brewers got a draft pick in exchange. And it felt like, we were kind of focusing a little bit more on DL Hall about his stuff. He's kind of raw, but got some time at the big leagues. Brewers were wanting him to make him into a starter and such. And then, Ortiz, we knew he was a plus defender. That's what we kind of heard about. Could be the future starting shortstop. But maybe some talk about, he might start off in the minor leagues. No, Brewers have kind of planted him over there at third base right now. He has shown off his smooth, elite defense. But the biggest thing is his offense has taken a turn. Another Brewers player this year where that offense has taken a turn, has improved. And right now, just some numbers on Joey Ortiz. Okay, Joey Ortiz, this is from Brewers.com. He's got his 7 home runs to go with a 278, 383, 459 slash line. His 2.5 WAR leads all Major League rookies and ranks second among National League third basemen to the current All-Star balloting leader Alec Boehm of the Phillies. I mean, this is a rookie. This is a dude that is stepping up big time. A guy again that I don't know what kind of expectations we had this year. I mean, just add him to the list of guys we're like, okay, we want to see maybe some glimpses of what he could look like in the future. But so far this year, Joey Ortiz has been a big part of the Brewers' success, especially on offense too. Or after posting 791 OPS in March and April, which is a respectable one, Ortiz jumped it to 978 in May. And remember, he became the first Brewers player in 5 years to win National League Rookie of the Month honors. Pat Murphy talking a little bit about Ortiz too, saying, I didn't know what to expect. I love how Pat Murphy's so open. I didn't know much about the player. When he got over here, immediately you could see his hands worked. We didn't know that because he had never really hit in the big leagues. I mean, he hasn't been a total surprise because we had good reports, but he's been well beyond. He's been great. So, yeah. Is it fair to say, DL Hall been dealing with an injury and such, but let's go back, and I know we got a long time for Ortiz's career in DL Hall, and I'm sure we'll revisit it again at various points. But I mean, first impressions with the trade, Corbin Burnes for DL Hall, Joey Ortiz, and whoever that draft pick's going to be. Is it working out? I mean, sure, yeah, Corbin Burnes would be awesome in the starting rotation right now, but I mean, Joey Ortiz has been pretty darn effective, pretty darn good. I love how he goes about his game. I love his game. I really do. All right. Last night too, it was reported and later announced that the Brewers acquire left-handed pitcher Dallas Keuchel from the Seattle Mariners in exchange for some cash. Keuchel, former Cy Young Award winner back in 2015, spent a hot minute with the Twins last year, but was at minor league ball this year for the Mariners last year for Minnesota. He had a 2-1 record, appearing in 10 games, started 6 of those, posting a 5.97 ERA. But probably know him more from Houston, from his Houston days, where he did win that Cy Young award back in 2015. For those of you, yeah, he's still around. He's still pitching, but the Brewers acquiring him for cash. And if you read the comments from Pat Murphy, it's not a I mean, he put out there it's not to improve depth at the AAA level. So he doesn't know if it'll be this week or next, but Dallas Keuchel is going to be pitching with this team, and he was already in a clubhouse after the game yesterday. Reporters had a chance to talk to him a little bit and get to know him. But um, yeah, he was already with the team. Wade Miley, who's a friend of Keuchel, said afterwards what he's dealt with the last 3 years after being as good as he was. That's good for you sometimes. It tests you what kind of man you are. I'm looking forward to seeing him throw. I hope he helps us. We need him. Keuchel saying my stuff is as crisp as it's been in a long time, and I think my velocity bump has been an eye opener. And that's a loose term. It's not like I'm throwing 94 miles per hour, so don't expect that anytime soon. But the average fastball has been up there to 2018, 2019 levels. That wasn't intended, but it was my body feeling good and maybe having some clear thoughts and having some joy. So this year so far, Dallas Keuchel has been has posted a 7-4 record with a 3.93 ERA and 13 starts for AAA Tacoma. I hope now it's a low risk. I think it's a low. I mean, send some cash over to the Mariners and bring over a guy who has pitched at the major leagues for a long time. You're adding a veteran pitcher to this rotation. It's a low risk potential, hopefully high reward. I don't know how much of a high reward it could be because I mean we haven't seen Keuchel. Let's be fair, pitch at a consistent level for a very long time. So it could potentially be a good move. The only thing is, I hope it's not the only one. I hope it's not the only one that the Brewers decide to make when it comes to their pitching staff. I think they need a little bit more. I think they need a little bit more depth at the starting spot. I hope it's not the only one they make. I don't know if it will be. Time will tell. We got some time. I mean, part of it too is like from the Brewers side, make this move now. See what you got. See how it turns out, and then maybe you got a couple weeks, got a few weeks before the trade deadline, July 31st, where you get to see him in action. You get to see maybe some guys coming back from injury, and then really assess, okay, where is our biggest need? Do we need to be a little bit more aggressive in getting a high level starting pitcher on the trade market? Or maybe they can go get a rental type player. Make the move now, get him acclimated, and then it gives you a couple weeks to kind of assess a little bit more where you're at with this starting pitching depth. So, I mean, I guess at this point I'm indifferent on the move because I'm not expecting a whole lot from Dallas Keuchel, but I understand it's a low risk one that potentially could serve a nice purpose. But we'll see. We'll see if that's actually going to be the case or not. But for today's game, right now for for the Brewers, if you go to brewers.com, it says a little TBD here. And Pat Murphy last night says he doesn't have a starter to name yet. So we'll see how it goes with the off day coming tomorrow. Kind of wonder, will it be almost a bullpen type of start there? Throwing out some guys and getting a couple innings each and such. But that's kind of where it's at right now. I want to chat a little bit more about Jackson Churio here too, because I think you're starting to see. We talked a little bit more about him in the last few days, last couple days here and such. But maybe things are starting to kind of settle down or maybe slow down a little bit for him. I was checking out some of the comments from some of the beat writers from the Brewers yesterday, and they noted too that Jackson Churio, like especially from Kurt Hogg, this is the Jackson Churio like when he hit that RBI last night to tie the game. Said that's kind of the Jackson Churio that they were seeing in AAA. Kurt said, "This is the Jackson Churio we saw in the second half in Biloxi last year. Rips a first pitch line drive to the right to hit, to tie it up with Contreras scoring in there. And later on, Jackson Churio's exit velocities tonight were or last night were 96.1, 99, 99.1, 101.8. His at bats have been excellent," said Kurt there. And maybe you're starting or we're starting to see Jackson kind of settle down a little bit, get a little bit more acclimated to the big leagues. And remember, he had a handful of games at AAA and no experience at the major league level and thrown in there right away. So as we are nearing the halfway after today, it'll be 81 games in. We'll be at the 51% or 50% mark. Maybe then things right now are starting to be a little bit more comfortable for the rookie. Starting to settle down or settle in here a little bit more. Getting some more confidence at the plate. I mean, if you look at season numbers, I'm sure some people will be like, yeah, 231 average, 277 on base, 634 OPS. Well, I mean, when you look at his last 45 at bats, guy's hitting 289 with an on base with 353 and he's slugging 400. You want to narrow it down to his last 7 games? He's hitting 300. Hit last night, hit the night prior, couple hits against San Diego. So I think it's fair to say that Jackson's kind of settling in here a little bit. Maybe getting a little bit more acclimated now to that pro level. And we heard about it a couple months ago. Pat Murphy, there was that stretch where Jackson Churio wasn't playing any games, and there were some question marks what was going on. And Pat Murphy, again, as blunt as he has been throughout this whole season, saying he's got to learn to be a pro. He's got to learn. Been kind of hanging out with, Contreras and Willie Adames to see how they do pregame BP and kind of follow along that. I think for Jackson Churio, Pat Murphy is probably the best type of manager that this youngster can have right now. A guy that's a no nonsense, probably doesn't give a rip about his contract. Not intimidated by that, not having the feeling like even though he's a first time manager, saying, "Oh yeah, we, guys, the star," and I think sometimes coaches or managers kind of maybe get like, "Okay, we got a special treatment with that guy or something like that." I don't think that's the case with Churio when it comes to Pat Murphy. But I think you're starting to see maybe a little bit more confident Jackson Churio coming up here right now. So, all right, let's take a quick break. We'll preview a little bit more of the game tonight as the Brewers try to go for a series sweep against the defending champion, Texas Rangers. Oh, by the way, in case you're wondering, Cubs dead last. 10 games now behind the Brewers. 10. Double digits. 10 games behind the Brewers for first place. Sorry, had to. All right, quick break. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Might be the end of June and we're approaching July here, and probably one of the last things you might be thinking about is the upcoming hunting season. Unless you're a diehard, unless you love it, then you're always thinking about it. But don't just think that you got some extra time here. This is the off season. This is when you got to get ready for that upcoming hunting season. And that's why you should be visiting our good friends at Tilden Gun. Tilden Gun to maybe upgrade that deer rifle of yours, or maybe you're getting ready for some duck hunting in the fall, turkey hunting in the fall and such. Head on over to our good friends at Tilden Gun. You can also check out tildengun.com and check out their massive selection, the biggest selection at the best prices in the area. tildengun.com. So easy too, by the way, to if you haven't like ordered online before, did it with Hutsy's BB gun and such. Super easy. Order online. They ship it over there. They call you, stop by, and all that good stuff. So, all right. We are at about almost 10 minutes to the top of the hour here. Quick update on how the poll is going right now. Tremont Williams is leading the way in our first matchup of the morning here with our bracket challenge to determine who is the most underrated Wisconsin sports athlete of all time. Tremont Williams with a lead over Packers linebacker George Kuntz. So another matchup in the Packers region. We will get to an open/Bucks matchup coming up a little bit later on in the 8 o'clock hour. We'll announce the second one over there too. So make sure you're paying attention to that. Vote on Facebook and Twitter. Game tonight, or excuse me, this afternoon, 1:10 first pitch for the for the Brewers. Don't know officially who it's going to be. I kind of feel like it's going to be an all hands on deck, especially with the off day tomorrow for the crew. But looking at who the Brewers will be going up against for the matchup today, as the Brewers will they've secured the series win, but they'd probably like to get a little sweep after dropping 3 out of 4 against the Padres, and maybe get a little sweep to get ready for the Cubbies coming to town starting tomorrow. Valdi, though, is going to be pitching for the Rangers, who he is 4-3 so far this season with a 3.14 ERA. Nathan's last game, he's coming off of a win against the Kansas City Royals back on the 21st, where he went 6 innings, giving up 2 earned runs, striking out 6. He's 2-3 in his last 3 games. Back on the 15th, not the greatest of outings for Nathan when he went 3 innings, giving up 4 earned runs. But so far in the month of June, in his 4 games, he's 2-1 with 3.74 ERA after coming back. He missed a big portion of the month of May, but going back to April here, I mean, April he was 1-2 with a 3 ERA. He had the one hiccup game back on the 14th where he gave up 5 earned runs to Houston, and then the one hiccup game against Seattle just a couple weeks ago. So I think it'll be an interesting matchup here. I mean, you got Sanchez, who actually was scratched from the lineup due to some calf tightness here, but he's got the most at-bats against him in his career. 14 career bats, 143. Does have a dinger. Adames has 8 career at-bats, just hitting 125. So, I mean, not a ton of experience going up against him. So we'll kind of see how it plays out here. But right now, the Brewers sitting 5.5 up over the Cardinals for first place in the division. In case you were wondering, the next time the Brewers play the Cardinals, it ain't going to be until August. It ain't going to be till like towards the end of August. They've got, am I reading the schedule right here? Let me double check it. They've only got 2 more series against the Cardinals. Got the Cubs this weekend, Colorado, Dodgers, Pittsburgh, Washington, Minnesota, Cubs, Miami, Atlanta, Washington, Atlanta, Cincinnati, Dodgers, Cleveland. Oof, not to look too far ahead, but August 12th through the 18th, you got 4 games against the Dodgers and 3 against Cleveland. At least that's all in Milwaukee. But then right after that, it's St. Louis for 3, That starts on August 20th. Then you got Oakland, you got San Francisco, then Cincinnati, then St. Louis at home, September 2nd through the 4th. Yeah. All right. Interesting. But Brewers up 5.5 against the Cardinals, who are kind of separating themselves a little bit from the rest of the pack. Remember, it wasn't that long ago, maybe about a week or so ago, where it was like 2 through 5 was all tied up or separated by a half game or a game. Well, St. Louis now 3 games over 500. Pittsburgh's in third, but they're 3 back from St. Louis. Then you got the Reds, then the Cubs, who are a complete 10 games even behind the Brewers for first place. Cubs dead last, in case you didn't hear that a little bit earlier. Dead last, 37 and 43. So, all right. We'll get back to some more baseball talk coming up here a little bit later on. The NBA draft, you got day 1, round 1 of the NBA draft tonight. Remember, now they've expanded it to it's a couple days now, today and tomorrow. So, Bucks do have the 23rd overall pick tonight. Will they make that selection? Will they not make that selection? Will they trade it? That's what I mean by will they not make it. Will they trade it as part of a package? Will they, put it together with a player that's already on their roster that maybe they want to try to acquire and such? Jim Wojcicki from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, he's keeping tabs of everything over there at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. But he does a good job because the NBA does tend to get a little confusing when it comes to contracts and luxury taxes and second aprons and how can you trade this person or not. But the Bucks can extend some players to contracts. Bobby Portis and Pat Connaughton are extension eligible. Portis can receive a maximum contract from the Bucks of $78.9 million over the next 4 years. But Portis is interested in extension. However, there has been no movement on that front from the organization. Also, the Journal-Sentinel learned that should the team move on from Brook Lopez, finding a high-level rim protector would be important to pair with Giannis defensively. The biggest change would be on the offensive end, as the Bucks could be looking for a strong screener and rim runner as opposed to a floor spacing shooter. Malik Beasley is probably done with the Bucks. Per Bleacher Report, appears to be headed elsewhere and will not re-sign with the Bucks. The Bucks can only offer him a 120% raise over his veteran minimum. So it seems like he is gone. Sounds like Houston, Golden State, and Orlando have interest in Malik Beasley. So those are just a couple of updates, rumors that are floating around out there with the current roster with this Bucks team. But I'll be honest, I don't even know who to expect. I'm just going to sit back and see what actually happens. I'm not going to do any mock drafts when it comes to this NBA draft. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what's going on or who they're potentially targeting in that, but we'll see what happens. I know the big one's going to be is Bronny James going to sneak in at the end of the first round. I do enjoy Bill Simmons' conspiracy theory that the Celtics should draft him with the 30th overall pick and just hold on to him for almost a ransom or something like that. I kind of appreciate that. I kind of like that idea. But if you are a Bucks fan, though, and you are following along with the draft and paying attention to some of the mocks or some of the players who are in this draft, who are guys that you think would be good fits for the Bucks? Bucks fans, do you even pay attention when it comes to the NBA draft? Maybe you don't. You're just kind of like, all right, let's see what happens, and then we'll assess and go forward from there. So that's kind of where I'm at with this whole thing. All right, keep your thoughts coming, though. Hit us up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. Got a few minutes. Good morning, Morgs.
How's it going today, Kasper?
Doing well. How are you?
End of June Dairy Month this week.
Mm-hmm.
Have you done anything to celebrate June Dairy Month so far?
I have not.
Breakfasts?
I wish I could.
Anything like that?
No, Bob hasn't brought me anything.
What, if you could pick from the dairy products, going classic milk, butter,
cheese curds
every day.
Yep.
Who's got the best cheese curds in town?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't want to pick. Then I upset people.
Okay.
I will throw this out there. I will gladly accept a taste testing.
Okay. If anybody wants to do a little throwdown action,
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, do you like the classic fried or do you like fresh and squeaky? Because there are different camps for cheese curd
I don't
lovers.
I, I don't discriminate.
Any cheese curd.
Mhm.
Give me curd, any curd. Okay,
Yep.
so then what about grilled cheese? Because there are some dairy breakfasts, Dunn County this weekend coming up, where they're doing grilled cheese instead of like pancakes, eggs, the
Mm.
traditional. It starts a little bit later. It starts at 9, so almost a brunch thing.
Yeah.
And they're doing grilled cheese, which I thought was really clever. I'm like, that's a great idea. Who doesn't love grilled cheese?
Yeah.
So if you're going to grilled cheese land and you're making your own June Dairy Month, throw down grilled cheese to win them all. How do you start?
Veronica makes the grilled cheese in our house.
How does she make them?
She puts.
Because I'm telling you, the secret is mayo.
I've heard that.
You put it on the outside of the bread
I've
instead of
heard
butter.
that.
It helps
Yeah.
it fry.
Yeah. She does the butter.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
She does
like
the
the
butter.
mayo
I've
angle.
heard the mayo. I'm
Yeah.
willing to try it.
What kind of cheese?
Kobe or
Okay.
cheddar.
Okay.
She's from Kobe, so
So classic. Do you think that should be the Wisconsin cheese? Do you think
yeah.
we should have Colby actually crown? Because it's always up for legislation. Do you think
Mhm.
we should just call it and all agree that Colby can be the cheese of
I've got no
Wisconsin?
problem with that. Yeah. I
And
mean, for crying out loud, it's a whole town, and I have to say yes because there's probably in-laws listening. So
absolutely.
yeah,
And thank you for that. You've
yeah,
done well, Colby. I have Colby in my cheese drawer at home. We turned the veggie drawer into the cheese drawer in the fridge.
nice,
So
nice.
now, what about ice cream? If you get to the ice cream side of June Dairy Month, what's your favorite there?
I'm a chocolate. I remember in elementary school, these kids have it lucky now, but when it was like Fridays and that was the only day you got chocolate milk, was a big day.
Yeah, it was a huge day.
Yeah.
But what about ice cream? If you're going to go cone, okay,
Oh,
cone or dish?
dish.
Dish every time.
Yep.
Chocolate, vanilla,
Less mussy,
strawberry,
less
classic.
messy.
Oh,
Yeah.
you got to go cone, I think.
Or the little cups with the tongue dispenser.
The little wooden spoons.
Yeah, yeah,
You use those? You're the guy?
yeah.
Why?
Because it's a nice. It brings back memories,
Because it's
nostalgia.
fun.
Yeah,
Okay. Like, and you would peel it off the top
yeah,
and have some paper in there as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
So then if you're going to build your Sunday, because they are doing Sundays too for June Dairy Month there, and there are farms that have those sign up. What do you put on yours? Are you like chocolate caramel or do you go fruit?
I go fruit.
Like strawberries and that
Yeah,
kind of thing?
raspberries, blueberries, big one on there.
I
Yeah,
don't know about that.
yeah, yeah.
Or
Oh
what
yeah,
about Hudson? What's he going to do?
sprinkles.
Every time?
Yeah.
When I worked at Ben& Jerry's on the East Coast, they used to call them Jimmies. Have you ever heard that?
No.
Yeah. Everybody would go ice cream with chocolate Jimmies. That was like an East Coast thing. Here we call them
I've never
sprinkles.
heard that before.
Yeah, just giving you a
Uh,
little East Coast.
weird. All
And
right.
how about some grilled cheese trivia, real quick? There's a most expensive grilled cheese sandwich coming up on June Dairy Month here. You can probably get a nice one in Dunn County this Saturday morning. But
Expensive.
the most expensive grilled cheese, I'll give you a little bit of a backstory here. It was a 10-year grilled cheese sandwich that this woman said had the image of Virgin Mary on it. She put it on eBay. She did sell it. How much?
500,000.
$28,000.
She got ripped off. Second hour kicking off on this Wednesday morning of June 26th. Appreciate you tuning in wherever, however you may be tuning in from. Coming up, we'll get back to some more baseball talk as the Brewers try to go for a sweep against the defending champion Texas Rangers later this afternoon. First pitch for that game is going to be at 1:10. You can catch it at 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Pregame will start about 35 minutes beforehand. Twins falling in game one of their series against the Diamondbacks last night, so we'll be back at it tonight. The Express picking up a win back home at Carson Park last night against Thunder Bay. They'll be going up against Thunder Bay again tonight at Carson Park. So we'll get back to some more baseball talk. It is also round one, I guess we have to say, day 1-2 of the NBA draft tonight. I know you're all geeked up and excited about the NBA draft tonight. Bucks hold on to the 23rd overall pick. The Minnesota Timberwolves hold on to the 27th overall pick. So we'll see if either of those teams hold on to them. Could a team like the Bucks maybe package it for a trade? They also hold the 33rd overall pick in this draft. But again, as a lot of the experts are out there saying that it's a poo-poo type of draft, and really maybe the biggest storyline, at least from major media stuff out there, is where is Bronny James going to get drafted? So we'll talk some hoops and all that fun stuff coming up here in just a little bit to keep you updated on the latest rumors and rumblings surrounding Bucks and such. I know the Knicks making a move to acquire Bridges last night. It's now might as well just call them the New York Villanova Wildcats with him and Brunson and Hart and Dante DiVincenzo, all former Villanova Wildcats on there. So, but Knicks are making a move to try to bolster their roster and go for that championship. You got the Celtics over there too. Bucks, where would you put them above any one of those two teams right now? You got Indiana that's potentially trending upward with their youth as well. So we'll see if the Bucks potentially could make any moves to help bolster that roster. So how excited are you for the NBA draft, knowing that your T-Wolves actually are at the back end of the first round for once there, Lucas?
Well, I'm more curious to see if Wolves trade a pick but still end up with the hat on the wrong guy. That's my biggest thing. Like, is the NBA, and I'm already going off the Wolves, they're going to fix this year? So we actually know who gets drafted by the right team instead of, well, technically, by legal reason.
Well, I think it's because there's so many rules and that stuff with the NBA. They got to figure out all the stupid stuff that they got themselves into.
Exactly. So make it so that we have some freaking clue who actually got drafted. We're already confused enough about who's drafting who are the players this year. It does seem like more of the college players have been going up in the rankings of late. I guess there's more visibility because we're in the USA. Point is, for the Wolves, they're not in a position like where they need to nail the picks. Maybe they trade out, but at this point, it's almost more of a luxury sort of situation, given who else they have on the team, who's not all going to be there long term. We know that they're going to start to get into some financial rough waters pretty soon here. Not quite to the Bucks level of, okay, they're almost locked into option A, option B. You cannot do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So for the Wolves, if they have someone who can be a bit of a project for a year or two, go down to Iowa, I guess that would be fine, and take whomever is coming. I haven't seen anyone strongly projected to go to the Wolves this year. So let's see who they got. And I think my big desire would be someone that, don't just draft. Have someone who's going to be, maybe could slot in. I'm trying to think long term here. Maybe as a bigger,
I think you're overthinking it with the NBA draft.
Well, I know that's the thing. Yeah, because who knows? And especially how is the league going to evolve in the next 3 or 4 years? But I guess if you had to go anyway, maybe try to go bigger. Think about post Rudy Gobert 3 to 4 years from now. Could you get a guy who can develop, not to Rudy Gobert, but someone who at least is not going to leave that as a wide open slot?
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's what I would most want to see.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what I want to see because I'm not putting a whole lot of stock into this thing tonight, to be honest with you. So, I don't see anybody at that 23rd slot who is going to contribute this year for the Bucks. Just, I mean, there's no, if this draft is as bad as they're saying, at what point, considering the last couple drafts, would the 23rd overall pick be somebody that can contribute right away?
Yeah.
I don't see it happening. No. So, then, which means should they trade it then? Should they attach it to a Pat Connaughton or a Brooke Lopez type of thing and trade it?
Knowing you're still restricted in what you can trade too because of the second apron. Maybe, but they'd have to nail that. And again, if you may not be able to get too much back anyway, so you may lose a player like a figurative player option, not a literal player option. So I think they go ahead and draft and try to do really well.
Well, they're not going to. I'm just saying that they're not going. I don't think they are. I don't.
Okay.
So, I mean,
and if either way, I don't know.
I just, first of all, has Doc Rivers had any experience developing younger players? I mean, the teams he's been on has been always veteran led. It seems like Boston, duh. Clippers, duh. Philly, yeah. I mean, veteran, and now the Bucks. That was the whole, I thought, big reason why they hired Adrian Griffin last year was to develop younger players. That was the whole reason. And I guess maybe that changed after they figured they could acquire Damian Lillard. And maybe things changed after that. I don't know. But I don't have any sort of, I don't get excited for the NBA draft. I think the NBA draft, let me throw this scenario out there. There's been this talk when it comes to the NFL draft, specifically from Pro Football Talk a lot, where Pro Football Talk, it seems like Mike Florio is not the biggest fan of the draft. Like, he feels like they should just be free agents and they could sign wherever, which will never, ever, 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 ever happen in the NFL draft.
Collective bargaining.
Yeah. And I don't think the NFL would ever allow that, like a big moneymaker. No, we're not getting rid of the draft. Are you kidding me? What about the NBA, though? What about the NBA? I mean, they're so worried about teams tanking for picks and such. Could they get away with not having a draft and just making them all free agents?
Wow. That would be incredible. It's going straight out. Oh my gosh.
And then you don't have to worry about stupid ping pong balls not given, that whole drama, whatever thing.
But then comes the drama of who's offering who what.
I mean, you still have a salary cap, so it's not going to be an open buffet like, baseball teams and such.
Huh. I guess we're used to the tradition of the draft. It's very much a United States sports thing. Because again, you go around the world, they're like, drafts? What? We get people in our academies when they're like 12 years old. What are you doing? So it's more what we grew up watching and all of the great draft memories of, like, already here I'm getting the montage like Karl Malone with the cutoff tie and stuff like that. The massive suits of 1998, all of those sorts of, 2003 really is what I'm thinking of. But if I'll take it one step further. If the NBA really is trying to model their broader approach on soccer, saw that with in-season tournaments. Saw that, last night, Commissioner's Cup in the WNBA, which is in its fourth year, wrapped up. Shout out Lynx winning it. It's a trophy. That's the way I looked at it when I saw them winning this. I'm like, no, this is not as big as winning the title, but it's a trophy. In soccer parlance, winning a trophy is a thing. You can win multiple trophies in a given year, but that's considered a major accomplishment around the world. Whereas in America,
I think it's kind of actually dumbed down a little bit.
Yeah.
Because now you got players that don't even know where their Super Bowl rings are. They're tucked in a closet or something like that. Doesn't mean that much anymore.
I don't know. I
like, to me, it's mind-boggling that a player, you hear these stories like how they've lost it, or I remember Rodgers saying that he thought it was in a closet somewhere. I'm like, isn't that what you play for, though? Like, to me, that's mind-boggling that they wouldn't know where that's at.
Right.
And it's not to say that's like for everybody, but didn't Jason Kelce lose his Super Bowl ring?
Yeah.
Like
those things cost so much money. How are you losing them?
Mm-hmm.
I know athletes have notorious for not having the best financial and value decisions overall. But you're also asking a lot of people to probably, you're asking a wide spectrum of people to suddenly treat everything the exact same way. That's not going to happen. So back to the draft or lack thereof. I wonder if going towards a free-for-all approach and having everyone get signed, that would be the next step towards going towards soccer style. Because again, does the draft really matter as much? Well, we're also saying that right now to a large degree because it's a lesser draft. Well, if we have an incredible draft coming at some point soon, then we're all in on that. Like,
couldn't you still almost, dare I say it, almost take a page from the LeBron page and almost have like events where these rookies announce who they're going to sign with?
Oh boy. Like the National Signing Day and the hats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, that draws it out a lot more throughout the year. The NBA definitely,
because we're going to have once in a while like the Victor Wembanyama's, who we know is the number 1 overall pick, or the LeBron James. Like, we know that, okay, that's the dude. And then it turns into a race, like who's going to sign that guy. And then you kind of have a little bit of an event, like this announcement sort of thing, kind of like recruiting. Like who's going to sign the number 1 overall prospect.
If that's spread out over time, I mean by over time I mean like weeks as opposed to 1 day's worth, you're getting a little bit more into what I think the NBA does akin to the NFL. They both try to own the calendar. That's their approaches.
Yep.
The other leagues don't as much, and I don't know that that's necessarily a priority for MLB and NHL, and I don't know that it necessarily matters. But the NBA and the NFL have the mindset of, no, we want to own. Okay, well, if you're going to take that approach, a good way to do it is to branch out from the draft, which is getting a little more attention this year because the NBA Finals wrapped up in 5 games. If that's a 7-game series, especially given who was playing in it, I don't know that it would be getting it. It'd be more like a, whoa, hey, by the way, draft's coming up.
For as bad as this draft is, apparently, take Bronny James out of it, is it even getting a lot of talk? I feel like Bronny James is like the main talking point of this thing.
Right.
Whether now, I hope Bill Simmons is right with his conspiracy theory that the Celtics should draft him at 30 and just hold him hostage. That would be hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening, but I guess never say never.
Right.
But that's as much as we are tired of LeBron James talk all the time. It's one of the biggest talking one. And what does that tell you too about how bad this draft is? And he's supposed to be a late 2nd round pick. In a normal year, he shouldn't even be drafted at all. He probably shouldn't even be drafted at all this year.
That I would say of the, and I mostly see ESPN because that's my go-to for sports news. So I'm going by their editorial decisions. But I'd say maybe 70% of all the draft talk I've seen going back 5 months has involved Bronny James.
Yeah.
Not that great by NBA standards. Not that great of a player. We don't think so. Who knows? Maybe we're all wrong and he's going to be the MVP in 5 years. That'd be pretty cool if it did.
If his name was John Williams, we wouldn't know who he is.
No, we would not be talking about that. I'm actually a little surprised looking at, and I happen to have the Mothership's website up right now, and the 3 images they have is Donovan Clingan, and then 2 of the other, like either G League Ignite or I think they're European guys. Not Bronny James. Little surprised they didn't lead with Bronny James on there to try to get the clicks. Well, because they know, and that's why we all know why that's talked about, because LeBron, it's content. Like I've said before, you could just title a headline LeBron, not say anything else. People would click it because like, ooh, LeBron, with no context. So yeah, otherwise it's kind of I don't want to say it's a dead draft, because again, there's some, if you follow the tournament at all, there's some pretty well-known names in there. But the more I think about it, I like your idea as much as how I don't like hype and stuff like that. But that would be fascinating to watch still. Who are you going to go with? But then all the machinations, and at some point there'd be some tampering period and some team would get in trouble.
Right.
But we'd be talking about it a lot more.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
NFL teams still get in trouble for tampering. So,
well, fifth
some do.
picks.
Some do. Yeah. But no, I can't get it. It's not, I used to get way into the NBA draft, but I think part of it though too is that you've got guys we don't know about, G League or international. not saying they don't belong in there because they do if they're talented. We don't know a lot about them, right? I mean,
Mhm.
and it used to be just pretty much all guys that we would see in the college basketball season, or maybe some high schoolers that were hyped up and such. It's just there's not a lot of guys I know in this one from a name recognition standpoint.
No.
And whereas I think part of it though too is for the NFL one, we've got a couple months to hype up all those players. You got a combine, you've got pro visits, where you mentioned the NBA finals just got wrapped up a couple weeks ago, and
It
now
could have
we're
been
into the
much more,
draft.
and it could have been much more. I mean, I don't remember when Game 7 was
Right.
scheduled, but it would have been very, very, very recently.
Right. And whereas the NFL, we're hyping up all these guys to where we're falling in love with like 50 guys.
Mhm.
The NBA is like, nope, quick, which I get to. I appreciate both. Where one is like, you get dead season to kind of amp it up, but the other part is like, let's just get to it right away.
Longer year too, so you got to have more I mean, you got to get to the practice faster. NFL shorter because you can't play as much because of the nature of the actual sport.
And let's face it too, we know these NFL guys because we've seen them for 2 or 3 years at the college football level.
Mhm.
We don't know that with a lot of these basketball players.
Right.
So
looking quickly through the whose mock is this? Jonathan Gibney and Jeremy Wu. For college, I'm only going to with the college guys we probably would know. Maybe Reed Shepard from Kentucky, Stephon Castle, UConn. I know Donovan Klingen's in there. Dalton Connect has been, became quite the star over the tournament. And after that, I'm seeing a fair number of players who are like freshmen stood out as potential NBA prospects, not so much like in the tournament or during the season. A lot of G League igniters. That's going away, by the way. I wonder if no more G League Ignite is going to increase some of the visibility. I mean, international players, that's always been around, and that's totally fine. You're looking for the most talented guy. Cool. If they're good, you will know who they are. But no G League Ignite's going to probably change this a little bit more.
Right. Maybe. Hopefully.
I mean, just as a fan point of view, and again, what matters is who plays well in the NBA, and it doesn't matter where they're drafted. Again, when we were talking last week about the Timberwolves draft with Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels, I forgot about the McDaniels draft, but it doesn't matter. He's good now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all that matters. Remember the Bucks pick tonight, or remember they acquire whatever. Are they good 2, 3, 4 years? Heck, maybe this season. That's all that ultimately matters.
Well, I mean, we're in a win now mode though too.
That's for the Bucks in particular. Yeah,
right.
it's a little dicier, but
I'd rather have the Bucks trade the pick and get somebody that's going to help them this year.
Yeah,
that's what I'm hoping for.
As long as they're good.
Yeah.
Whomever they are, if we have no idea who they are going in, fine. Did they help them win a championship? That's the important
Well, and
thing.
I think the other part, though, too, is like the Bucks, the last couple rookies that we've seen, we haven't really seen a ton about.
No, not too much.
I mean, the last one that actually contributed is no longer there, and that's Dante DiVincenzo.
Yeah.
Before that was Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah, it's so maybe now, like you said, with Doc Rivers being a guy who's not as focused on bringing up younger or coaching.
He's not going to develop younger guys.
No, so maybe this is the point. So maybe they are going to try to turn this around for a somewhat of a veteran player. I don't know. Tough move though on their part.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got to take a quick break here. We'll get back to some more baseball talk and all that fun stuff coming up after these quick words. Little over a month away from the 4th annual Kasper Classic at Princeton Valley Golf Course. Want to give a shout out to sponsors, our Champions Meal sponsor, Hy-Vee and Eau Claire Green Jacket sponsor, Muldoon's Menswear. We're awarding a green jacket. New tradition. Green jackets. We're awarding one to an individual every year that is a big time supporter of backyard dreams and the golf. So we will announce that that winner the day of. I will admit, though, I did get a jacket for myself because I have to, right, Luke? I mean, if somebody's going to get one, I got to get one.
It's your thing with jackets.
Yeah, I know. I got to have. The jacket is literally called Augusta Green. So I'm like, come on, now, I got to get one.
Wow.
So, the title belt sponsor, Residence Branding Company, but Residence also put the patch on the jacket, too, so it looks extra sharp. It's easily the most, the nicest blazer I've got in my closet right now. So easily. Putting green sponsor, Gemco Surfaces, beverage sponsor, Park Ridge Distributing, hole sponsors, Carpet City Flooring Center, AJM Automotive Service, The Elbow Room, Edward Jones Financial Advisor, Kelsey Nikolai, Dudage Inn, Hannah Sellner Agency, American Family Insurance, Shepke Chiropractic, Shoe Doctor, and Service Master of Chippewa Valley. If you want to get your team in now, we got a few spots opened up. Just head to sportstalk1051.com. 10 a.m. is sold out, though. Got a few left at 1:30, a couple more on the 7:30 one over there. We are potentially looking for an on-course reporter while we're doing the show for the 7:30 slot, especially if Surveyor is actually golfing at that 7:31. So,
wow.
Yeah. We need the Vern Lundquist sitting behind a tree commenting on the 6th hole.
Yes, sir.
All right, you just signed up, Luke. That's going to be your role.
I'm
So
going to be the 7:30
bring out
reporter.
the old school Marty unit and,
Yes.
set it up over there. So
You don't know what a Marty unit is? Google it and spell it with an I. Okay.
Yeah.
Then you'll know.
Yeah. So you
Just don't touch the antenna. Whatever you do, don't touch the antenna.
rain or shine, you're going to be out there too. So, yep, you just signed up, Vern.
Well, if it's rain, then stay far away from that antenna.
Yes. So, hey, you mentioned Karl Malone. I gotta say this. Yeah. So on Netflix, there's this series. I don't know if you ever heard of like Golden Auctions,
I don't know that I have.
but they sell like collectibles and that. So it's like this series called Collectible King. Peyton Manning's a producer of this or executive producer of this.
Mhm.
So I've been kind of watching it because me and sports cards and collectibles and all that sort of stuff. But they had Karl Malone on there. First of all, it just is perfect. Karl Malone has a dealership, apparently, car dealership. But at the second level is where he has all of his memorabilia at his dealership. Why would you have that in the house? Anyways, bugs me. But you know what he has there in a hallway? Like this. Why is this at your dealership when nobody can see it? Have it at your house. But anyways, and he's selling this. He's got like lockers, glass-plated lockers of every game-worn jersey and autographed by the 92 Dream Team.
Wow.
It looks like a Hall of Fame. Why would you have that at your auto dealership on the second level where I'm assuming nobody can see it? First of all, that would just irritate me. If I had something like that, there's no way I'm keeping it here. I'm sorry. That's going in my house. But yeah, it's like, and he was telling a story where like when they were playing, guys were just throwing their jerseys on the floor and his wife was just picking them up and putting them in a bag. They're not washed or anything, and they're all autographed, and they got shoes from the players, but it's the whole 92 Dream Team.
For real.
Yeah, and he's selling it. Or maybe he did. I don't know. I was going to look it up and I forgot.
I'm looking at the Karl Malone dealership, first thing that comes up, and I love how it's so like normal, like Karl Malone Auto Group. Experience the Karl Malone difference.
Oh, so it was. He actually pulled in $5 million.
Wow.
This
For
was back
that?
May in 2023. Yeah, Dream Team memorabilia, game-worn jerseys.
Yeah, because his website doesn't like immediately go right to it. It's like a regular auto dealership website.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find. I need to be a little more specific as I'm looking here. So does this mean if you bought from Karl Malone, like Park City Ford or whatever, you'd have a Karl Malone like thing stuck on the back of your car?
Well, it'd be like, didn't Dale Earnhardt have that?
Something like that.
Yeah.
And it's got like his silhouette of going up. It's
Yeah.
the Karl Malone shot.
$5 million though. You want to? So I'm reading this. This was actually last year. So I'm just finally watching this series. But $5 million total. You want to know what the most expensive one was?
What?
Jordans, of course. A
Naturally.
little over $3 million just for Jordans. Just $3 million.
Wow.
And I love it because they actually talked about Jordan's jersey in the episode. Jordan inscribed it to Karl good luck, Michael Jordan. Like, and they're like, what did he mean by good luck on there? Like, man. But here's the thing, like, if I had that, I get it. Karl Malone's got some money and such. I don't know if I could ever part with stuff like that.
Is this the one where it's like staggered jerseys and shoes sitting in?
Yes.
Okay, now
Yep.
I'm looking at the same picture. That, I mean, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, right?
But
mean,
on the second floor?
yeah, it was like, because I just remember the episode they walked in and he's like, you know, they walked in the dealership and he's like at the second level and he's like waving them to come up or something like that. So
who all gets to go up there?
I don't know.
Is it just like a few sales reps? Like,
I don't even know if I'd trust employees to go up there. I don't know. But yeah, man, 5 million. So, okay, Jordan, here's yeah, this was from Golden Auctions. Larry Bird sold for $360,000. Magic Johnson was $336,000. Charles Barkley, $230,400. David Robinson, $116,400. Clyde the Glide Drexler, $91,200. Scottie Pippen, $80,400. Malone's, $58,800. Stockton, $55,200. Patrick Ewing, $39,600. Christian Laettner did not come in last, $39,600. Chris Mullen, $37,200.
I guess I can see that Mullins
Mhm.
become quite underrated
Yeah.
as time has gone along.
The former Indiana Pacer great, Chris Mullen.
What? Wow, that's all sorts of fascinating.
Just watching a series like that, and I'm like, well, I don't know. Certain ones, yes, but like memorabilia like that, I don't know if I could ever do it. Like when they sell Super Bowl rings or champion, I could never do it.
Well, like I've been a little nervous. Like take the radio station here. I mean, it's not like we're in a crime area or anything like that. But I've thought, you know, what would be kind of neat. You know, when we win our WBA awards, stuff like that, which is usually about what we can win. Put them like in the foyer, in front of the lobby. You know, they could do like an award thing. Wouldn't that be kind of cool to put all of the ones on display? Look at all the stuff we've won for anyone who comes in. And it's one of those show-off things. But then I would think, well, what if someone came in and stole it? Now, why would someone want to go steal, hey, they stole your promo for this thing? I mean, really, but see, that pops in my mind for that. And that's nowhere near the level of a Dream Team jersey.
Mhm.
That's a pretty freaking valuable thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess I get the mindset of you don't want it right up front because what if someone does something, even though I'm sure it's behind like security, alarm inducing, like
They've got invisible lasers
Right.
protecting it.
all
Yeah.
sorts of stuff. I can't imagine it's one of those where, just open up the key, take out the jersey, and you're gone. No, it's got to be way more than that.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I would understand that mindset
Mm-hmm.
because if someone did do the heist, oh boy.
Yeah. They were talking about the first episode of that series too. They were doing a Jackie Robinson one, and the guy wanted to sell his Jackie Robinson jersey for $10 million, and that was the reserve price. Somebody bid $7.2 million, didn't sell it. He wanted $10 million
Wow.
for that thing.
10 mil?
10 mil.
Someone's got to eventually pay for that.
I was like, wow, 10
Still.
million. That's hard for me to even turn down like $7.2 million. So
Yeah.
But still,
I
at
wouldn't
that
turn
point
down
though,
a
too,
mil-
is like, would I sell that for? I probably would. I don't know.
I mean, I'd take $500,000.
Well, then you're a bad business person.
Right. Well, no, I would just take 500. Well, for that, oh yeah, then I suck.
Yeah.
I've never really been known as a good business person anyway, but I would take five. If someone gives me 500,000, I'm taking that. 7 million, sure. But I mean, I guess if you value it at a certain level, and given the significance of the person involved, okay, I guess I understand that. Like, well, you're not going to cheat on something like that.
It made me really jealous too, seeing all that stuff that people can go out there and get.
Yeah.
Like the one guy's got a home run bat from everybody who's in the 500 home run club, like an actual bat that they use to hit a home run
Mm-hmm.
and sign. I'm like, oh, it'd be so cool. Wow. To see all these, like, yeah, it was like, man.
You got to make some more money so you can get some of this stuff.
Well, that's the thing is like, then I started looking on eBay at cards and I'm like, oh, do I pull a trigger on this one? No, don't do it, Dan. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. I don't even know where to go. Like, what would be my main thing to get? I don't know. I have no idea what it would be.
what would be the place to find that?
I don't know, but yeah. Who
I don't
knows?
know
Maybe
either.
one day. Maybe one day I'll be one of those lucky people that just happens to scroll through Goodwill and find something for 10 cents, and it ends up being something that Vince Lombardi actually wore, and it's like worth $5 million. I hate reading stories like that.
That's the thing. You stumble into those. How are you gonna know?
Right. But it's like somebody found, was it a few weeks ago? Was it an Ernie Banks jacket, I think?
Mm-hmm.
They found at Goodwill. Kid, it was like an 18-year-old, just picks it up for a couple bucks, and he ends up selling it for like how much money? It's like, what are we doing? Like, who threw that in a bin to go to Goodwill? And it was like a few years ago, somebody did that with a Vince Lombardi jacket.
Just how?
One of these days, I will get lucky.
And of course, I would probably be the type to be like, no, dude, I've got this. I'm not selling.
Yeah, I wouldn't sell that.
No, it's way too valuable.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I just couldn't.
Yep. All right. Let's take a quick break here. That could have been a business and sports one right there, but yeah, I was binge watching that yesterday. It's really interesting watching some of the stuff on there come through.
What? Okay. And again, where's that?
This was on Netflix.
Netflix. Okay.
Yeah, it's King of Collectibles, Collectible King, or something like that. King of
Collectibles.
Yes.
On Netflix.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's just on, and then bunch of different. They actually had a music. They're doing some music stuff on there. I was watching one episode with that.
Yeah.
Had Michael Jackson sheet where he wrote notes about the song "Beat It" in studio that sold and all that. So yeah, stuff like that.
Okay, now you're starting to get perilously close to the territory where I start pondering how much savings do I actually have.
So of all the music artists, because you're Mr. Music Guy, who would be the artist you would love to have something from, memorabilia wise?
Beatle.
The Beatles.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll say a Beatle in like an individual sense.
So if you wouldn't matter if it was Ringo or McCartney or Lennon.
You're in the Beatles. You're in the Beatles.
Okay.
Like it's the four. I mean, yeah, you can power rank them obviously. Lennon and McCartney are the top two, of course, because they wrote most of the songs, they sang, et cetera, et cetera. Gosh, it's been a long time since I think anyone really started to break down the Beatles. What's the value? I mean, it's the freaking Beatles. But of course, I'd take a McCartney thing first, or a Lennon thing, then a Harrison, then a Starr. But if there's something that was Beatles related where like they owned it, I mean, not maybe to the point of, hey, here's a receipt from when they were touring the country when they stopped in a diner in Springfield, Illinois in 1965.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, okay, that cool, but also why are you holding on to that? But if it's like sheet music, something that was used in Abbey Road Studios, an instrument, my gosh. I mean, I don't know how I'd have the money to get something like that. Yeah, that would be the number one thing, for sure.
The Beatles. All right.
Something from the Beatles.
Interesting.
Would be absolutely incredible.
See, part of me is now a little bit jealous because I don't even know what my number one thing would be in sports.
I was pondering, asking you like, what is the one? I mean, I don't want to say the one thing because the one thing also may be out of value. Like Beatles stuff, I don't know how am I gonna. I mean, I'm sure there's like a market out there you could find stuff like, okay, yeah, but then that's stuff that passes through a lot of hands.
Mine would be a Packer thing. I just don't know what Packer thing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I want it to be like Don Hudson or Vince Lombardi or what. That's kind of where I'm at right now. And part of that is I think it's kind of a humble brag, but there's so much history to it for that franchise. Well, it's hard to choose.
We're in a fortuitous area. We get blinded by it, a little bit. I think thankfully most of us in the state we understand what we're dealing with too, but it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, okay. So you're in a lucky spot.
Yeah. So,
which also means that there's I want to say it's not a decent chance because it's still extremely long, but probably a better chance here than almost anywhere else that you're going to stumble into some major piece of NFL history via something like a Goodwill or stuff in one of those kind of stores. Because it's Wisconsin and someone ends up giving away something and you're like, oh, what's this? Oh, Vince Lombardi's, I don't know, like the first hat he wore on the sidelines at Lambeau Field. Someone happened to give it away, and now it's worth $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
You could ostensibly find it here versus if we're doing the show in New Mexico.
cigarette, whatever you call those, not dish. What do they call them? Ashtray.
Ashtrays?
Yeah,
Yes.
ashtray.
Yeah.
From his man cave.
Something. Oh boy.
That'd be cool. Yeah. All right. Or he golfed too. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
See, now I'm just getting my hopes up for nothing because it'll never happen. So, all right. Quick break. Then we'll be back to finish up the second hour. Talk some more baseball after these quick words. Coming up next hour, we'll do a little business of sports. Talk a little Stanley Cup Finals with the business of sports coming up here. So almost history made for the business of sport, or for Stanley Cup Finals.
Well, maybe for the business of sports too. You
that
don't
too,
know.
yeah.
Maybe it was going to break big, and now it won't.
Speaking of autographs, I did actually purchase one just a couple days ago. It's Hudson's birthday today, and his favorite ball player is William Contreras. So I was able. He doesn't know it. He's not here. He's sleeping in today for his birthday. But he's
happy birthday, Hudson.
Yeah, he's got a William Contreras autograph coming to him. So
nice.
Which actually was weird timing because I had ordered it, and then just the other day he he took a baseball and signed William Contreras' name on there, so he would have quote unquote have an autograph. So I'm pretty pumped that he's going to open that up today. So,
nice.
Yeah. So. You got some sweet stuff in your office, though. I know you got some retro stuff in there.
Oh, very much so. I'm not sure the value of all of it, but it goes back. Old pennants, that old Super Bowl poster, of course, the turf for the Metrodome.
Yep. Where's that seat, by the way? Did you figure it out yet?
No, because the trick is finding like a post for one Metrodome seat. It looks like you have to buy for like two. Like, well, man, I haven't dug super deep also because like the main website I could find. And this gets a little tricky because it starts to get into stadium seats for sale.com. You're like, right, is this legit?
Could you get like a boat pedestal and mount it on that thing?
Maybe that's the way to go with it. Like, yeah, because I'm not going to do the whole, hey, I'm going to watch every football game in my Metrodome chair.
Why wouldn't you?
I mean, I guess I could.
Yeah.
It probably was what I believe. From when I was in there, I think they took mainly from the retractable seats first because they took that out quickest as they're clearing out the field. So I don't know that this would even be like, I don't know, you could have watched a Twins game and it probably was behind the baggie. I don't know, maybe not. There's no way to know exactly where this came from. But I'm still holding out though, because it's right now it's in the garage. I see it every day as I'm going in and out. So it's like it's visible. I'm holding off, I think, unless we ever go to like a bigger place where I've got a little bit more room, and then I'll set it up that way. Because right now you can kind of store it to the side, and based on the amount of stuff we have, it's better that than taking up space.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
But
I would just say though, if I had a bleacher from Lambeau Field, I'd be watching the game in that. And
that would be really cool.
My back would be miserable throughout the whole football season because I'm at that age now where I can't stand sitting in bleachers because it hurts so much.
Yeah.
But then I'd have to go get a stadium seat to put on it. You know, I could do it.
But you have to get one of those old ones that's been used for like several years.
Yeah.
You can't get a new one. You got to like get
one of those. That's the thing. Like anybody, I guarantee you, if Lambeau wanted to like get some new stadium seats, you know, where you can rent them, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
They want to get some new ones. I guarantee you they'd be able to sell those at $50 a pop and people would buy them up because they came from Lambeau.
So why haven't they done that?
Good question. I don't know.
They're usually pretty smart when it comes to.
They cut up bleacher pieces and throw them in the. They've got gates that you can purchase in the pro shop. They've got old meeting chairs. Believe me, I've tried to figure out ways that I could incorporate it in my small man cave, and I've had to stop myself a couple times.
You know, if I was able to easily get, because this is where you got to be careful of. Well, you got one, then two, and then suddenly you have like 20 stadium seats, and you have no idea what to do with them. But I would consider if there was a way to get like an individual Lambeau bleacher that it's not like maybe 3 feet long.
Right.
I would strongly consider that.
Oh,
and I say that as this is NFL, this is history, this is Wisconsin, this is where I grew up. Doesn't matter the fandom. That's significant. I would get that.
If they sold it so where it was big enough to where you could plant your butt on it, I would 100%. That would be a no-brainer for me. I would go and I would drive over there because they're not going to ship it. And yes, I would go. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
100%.
That'd be really, really cool. Now, mounting it is also another story. You start to get into the stadium seat territory of how do you do it?
You know what? I'll figure it out, but temporarily just give me a few bricks, put them on the ends there and set it up. Boom. We're ready to go for a little bit.
That's like with me in the Metrodome seat. Like, I don't care. I just get it. Okay. We'll figure it out later.
It ain't going on a wall. It's going to be to where I'm sitting on.
Right.
Yep.
That is going to
put it to use.
Yeah. Yes.
Get a little creative. You know what else I would do? I'd probably mount it to the wall so like when I'm done, I can just fold it up so it goes flat against the wall, doesn't take up any extra space.
Mhm.
Pull it back down, boom. Somebody in Green Bay, make that happen. Cut off a piece of a bleacher for me. You know what? I might just have an idea for another man cave seat.
Do we
A
know?
fold-out bleacher.
Ooh.
Come on, Dan. Now. Come on.
Do we know how old the actual bleachers are? Did they ever replace the actual?
Yeah, because they've sold pieces.
Okay.
A few years ago, they sold pieces, and this is what happens. So once in a while, you'll see it on the Pro Shop website, but they have it in store first. So once somebody finds it, it spreads on social media like wildfire, and it was like a couple of years ago, it was $50 a piece. It was like a little section here.
Wow.
But somebody buys them all up, a couple people, and then you go on eBay, and then they try to make money off of it.
Of course.
Because I was trying to find one when I saw it. Somebody was talking about it like on Twitter or the X. And I'm like, ooh. And then you go to eBay, and yeah, you got somebody trying to sell it for a few $100.
Trying to figure like, are these originals? Are there any bleachers still left that were in place where you could sit on the same piece of bleacher that someone sat on watching Vice
ice
President
bowl?
Nixon in 1957 commemorate City Stadium? Are there any of those left?
I know they've got like the wooden pieces that they've made into keychains from those bleachers.
Oh, when did they go to metal?
I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Hmm.
But this one, okay, this is a wooden one, $65, little keychain over there. But yeah, here's where did it go? Yeah, here's a piece of the metal bleacher where it's got like the number painted, the seat number on there.
Uh-huh.
$440 their best offer from somebody on eBay. Whereas they bought it at the Pro Shop for $50. Son of a gun.
Lame.
Son of a gun.
I get it. Someone will pay, but no. That's almost a 1,000. Am I doing my math right? Is that 1,000% increase in?
I don't know.
It's a lot.
You gotta see, now we're going down a deep dark hole that I should not be in
Right.
now
See, here you
because
go. You're gonna need a new house.
there's a sign from Lambeau Field 1960s. A $300 minimum fine. City ordinance forbids unauthorized persons playing on the field by the order of the Green Bay Police Department from the 60s. This is sweet. They also want $3,500 for this sign.
No.
God, but I want it. All right, I gotta stop.
Please.
Yeah. That's so cool though. That's so cool. All right. All right, we're getting into too much business talk right now.
Yeah.
So,
You're
I
gonna
want to
run
know
out-
if anybody has a really unique sports memorabilia thing. Like so unique that like nobody else has something like that. Wow. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
cards are great, autographs are great, but what's something incredibly unique? Like something like that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what would be one of those things. But yeah, I mean, you can
Mhm.
figure through time.
Right. Yeah. If you got one and you're willing to share, hit us up.
Yeah.
Hit us up. We don't have to tell you the name or anything like that if you want to keep it on the down low. So all right. 2 hours in, we got one more to go. I promise we'll get back to some more baseball talk here. We get off on tangents once in a while, and Dan's credit card bill goes up once in a while after this. So we'll do business and sports coming up after these quick news updates. Third and final hour right now on this Wednesday morning coming at you. Appreciate you tuning in wherever, however you may be tuning in. Steve from Eau Claire said that I don't have this personally, but about 15 years ago, I was waiting in an autograph line for Donald Driver and was talking to a woman whose workplace he had come to once. And in a scramble to find something to have him sign, the only thing she could find was a stapler. So Donald Driver signed a stapler once, apparently. So I guess that qualifies as unique, right? So, yeah.
That's probably the only time that's ever happened. But that's not bad. It's just the only time that's ever happened.
Yeah. Yeah, if you got a unique memorabilia thing, let us know. Hit us up with a text. Share your story with us if you don't mind. We've got the second matchup of the day for our bracket challenge. We'll announce that coming up a little bit later towards the bottom of the hour here. We're going to go back to the Bucks/Open region. Right now, we've got that poll up between a couple of Packers, George Kuntz versus Tramon Williams. Right now, Tramon Williams is leading the votes. So if you want to increase Tramon's lead, you better go vote. If you think George Kuntz deserves some more love, you better go on Facebook and Twitter and get to voting. Brewers back in action later this afternoon, taking on the Texas Rangers, where they will try to sweep the defending World Series champions. Brewers also yesterday acquiring a starting pitcher. Too bad it wasn't 2015, but Dallas Keuchel was acquired yesterday for cash from the Mariners. The longtime great, sarcastic Twins pitcher from last year too, Dallas.
Yeah,
Keuchel.
I was like, wait a minute, didn't the Twins have him for a little bit?
Yeah, last year for a little bit.
I mean, he had a few moments.
Yeah, I just hope that's not the only move they make, but
I would expect that they would do more.
Right. So, but we'll talk some more Brewers and some more baseball coming up here in just a skosh. But also NBA draft round. It's going to be weird for me to say day one. It's weird for me to say that day one.
At least you don't have to stay up till like midnight tonight. To
right.
Be confused by all the second round picks that are getting moved.
I'm so glad that they decided to, expand it to 2 days when it's supposed to be such a crappy draft too. So yeah, awesome.
Of all the years, huh?
All the years to do that. Next year, next couple years is supposed to be better. It sounds like.
Okay.
Because a lot of people were with that trade last night with Bridges going to the New York Villanova Wildcats. Houston got involved with some picks in that, and Houston got graded very poorly because apparently in the upcoming year's drafts, those draft picks are going to be better, kind of like maybe how OKC played. Or Boston was the example I was reading where, Boston, kind of waited and was patient. And you look now, everybody's looking back at those drafts where they got Tatum 3rd overall and Brown later on, top 5 pick there, but wasn't the number 1 pick. So difference between franchises who don't panic and make panic moves with picks and ones that just, are calm, cool, collected.
Right.
So.
Right. There's differences. Oh, how excited are you for the possibility at the rate this is all going that Kevin Durant at some point will be a Milwaukee Buck?
I thought he was going to be a Houston Rocket now.
I think it probably is, but that means he's pretty much on a tour of the NBA. Like, I think a tenure with the Bucks is inevitable, right? It's got to super team it with Giannis and Dame for like a month.
Yeah.
Timberwolves probably got a shot at him too at some point.
I don't know about that guy. We criticize LeBron a lot for that, but when does his flowers come for that? I saw this. This was, I don't know how old this was. I saw it on TikTok. It was a couple weeks ago, but it could have been older. And it was actually your boy Bill Simmons. And Russillo asked him this question. And I can't remember who the other. Oh, I think it was leading up to this NBA Finals, this previous one. Something about, the old question about, does this Finals mean more to Luka, or does maybe the Finals that Giannis won mean more to his legacy? That sort of stuff. It was something like that. Giannis's Finals was in there. Simmons actually answered he thought it was Steph Curry's Finals without KD. And he and I thought it was a great point. Because it was like, if he never won one without KD, then it's like, yeah, you couldn't win it without KD, but Curry won it without KD, which kind of, really put really solidified his legacy a lot more.
Which has also gone the other way of
KD now, right?
Right. I've seen more of that. Like, yeah, well, you couldn't win it with I've seen plenty of you needed Kevin Durant to win with it. Like, that's not true, right? As you just pointed out. The the Durant career arc is so, it's not bad. It's just odd.
Mm-hmm.
And yet he is a toe away from very possibly being an NBA champion, essentially leading a team that was kind of a super team, but without the super team elements.
Right.
Imagine how that legacy changes.
Right.
So much. And of course, here in Wisconsin, too.
Legacy changed not only for him, but Giannis maybe too.
Yep. I mean, now who knows? Maybe that spurs on something different. And I know there were injuries, and maybe those injuries happen anyway. But who knows? Maybe the Bucks win one of the 22-23, or even this year. We don't know. But like if you're going for Durant legacy stuff, it's getting tougher to point to what's like the prime moment. He did so well with the Thunder, but he couldn't quite get there. And then he starts bouncing around all these different places, and he's he adds on to the Warriors, and then the super team in the Nets, and then it's moving.
So it sure seems like Kevin Durant's not going to be with Phoenix.
No,
coming up here.
I
sorry, Mike Budenholzer.
I think there's I'll revise that. I think there's less than a 50% chance that he leaves, but it's not that much less than 50%.
Mm-hmm.
The fact
one of those guys has to go between him, Booker. I mean, they added Bradley Beal. There's just too much going on.
Like Booker, I think makes more sense to leave, but Durant moves so much, and I think he's up for moving a lot.
Yeah,
too. So that's where the Rockets thing kind of makes sense. And then there's probably at least one more team in there, and in his future. I mean, no, I don't think he's going to end up pulling. I mean, he's not going to do a Shaq.
He should go back and pair up with Billy Donovan in Chicago.
Wow, that would be a heck of a turn. What if is there some way that he, Harden, Westbrook, and Donovan can all be on the same team for his final run? Recreate,
you mean for everybody's final run, because with their ages at that point?
And we're getting and I don't. This would definitely not result in an NBA championship.
Perkins can come back for a season too,
right? But recreate the 2012 Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah,
have it all come full circle, and we're all look around like, my gosh, what happened to these guys?
Yeah.
So much potential. That image is locked in my brain of those three standing on the sidelines towards the end of the 2012. I think it was towards the end of the 2012 finals, if I'm remembering my series right, and looking at them. And I was either me thinking this or Mike Breen or whomever was on the call saying this, but like, as they're all like standing all three next to each other, like one's got their arm on the other guy's shoulder or something, like, yeah, but they're going to be back. This is just the beginning. Well,
nope,
not really.
Not for long.
No.
So, all right, let's do the business of sports this morning. So, Stanley Cup Finals in the books. Florida, a lot of those guys are already partying, and it's going to be a party. Nobody, though, will top Ovechkin's. I wish I could still play
That's the GOAT.
That is the best. And I love it because, I mean, for somebody, at that level to get it and to win a championship, celebrate away, man. Celebrate away, man.
I mean, mind you, I guess Florida's going nuts with this right now.
Right.
But everyone goes nuts with this now.
And rightfully so, I think.
Yeah.
I think, right, especially how it all ended and such. Party it up, man. So,
sure.
Except for you, Boston. You've won enough. New England, 5.5-year absence already done.
Thank gosh, that's over.
Wow.
Cool, guys.
But Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final posted some historic TV numbers. According to Deadline, TV ratings reflected the historic night of an average audience of 16.3 million viewers who tuned in across multiple networks in North America, making that game the second most watched NHL game in the last 20 years. Monday night's Game 7 aired on ABC in the U.S., streaming on ESPN Plus and on CBC, SN, and TVA Sports in Hockey Mad Canada. Look, obviously you got guys like Connor McDavid and all that sort of stuff. But you think, what do these numbers tell us a little bit about the state of hockey? I mean, because a lot of people were like going into the series like, oh, Florida, not really what I think about hockey. Then you had Edmonton, or was it the Game 7 effect?
It's Game 7.
Mm-hmm.
If every series went Game 7, ratings would always do better. as much as we always
Love Game 7s,
of course,
especially when it's a championship.
especially when it's hockey. Those can get those.
And when you're talking about historic,
uh-huh.
down 3-0, all of a sudden the next team wins the next 3, and it's like, wait a minute.
Yeah. And by the way, that was a double night because you also had the
College World Series. Yep.
Yeah, so I'm like, because they were
that got a
both
little
approaching
dicey.
because I'm watching the ticker because I'm like, okay, College World Series is ending first, and the ticker is like it's 7 minutes left because they have that on ESPN at the bottom. Like, oh boy, it's getting kind of tight here. Okay, Tennessee closes this out. I don't want this to go to the bottom because I'm going to have to go back and forth. It was, by the side note, when was the last time, I don't expect any of us to have the answer, or if this has happened before, where you've had 2 high-profile championships happening at the same time? Yeah, and I say high-profile because you're never going to have the NBA and NHL have, like, on this thing.
I know.
They're going to stagger.
It happens every year.
But
Super Bowl and the Puppy Bowl.
Yes, that is the right answer. It feels I want to say this has happened before. And again, what's our definition of that? Like, are we going to throw in like it's kind of to each their own. You could throw in the FA Cup. For a lot of people, like, what's the FA Cup? To some other people here in the States, they're like, that is the biggest deal in the world if it's happening the same day as some other title. And I don't know that that's happened, but it was pretty cool. So that's going to get more, that's generating more interest of, wow, all this is happening. I got to watch sports tonight. I have to.
It would be close, but it's not. Would have been like Masters in the NCAA championship, but it's the next day.
They stagger those two.
That's close. I don't know if, depending on if they would have ended, depending on the games like the U.S. Open and the NBA Finals or Stanley Cup. I'm trying to think of like major events around the same time.
And even then, one is day, one is night.
Right. Yeah. You're exactly right.
You have to go back and forth.
Right.
That's pretty rare for that to happen. It's a Game 7 effect. I mean, if you know, for sports fans to know their history, Edmonton stands out more. As much as it's more as a Canada team, it doesn't come for the ratings. Well, I mean, we now can measure Canadian ratings too. And they are a bit of a bigger name because of the Gretzky effect and because they were the dynasty in the 1980s. And Connor McDavid as well. That all helped. It helped that Florida made back-to-back Stanley Cup finals. They've been good for a few years now. They've actually become one of the best teams in the NHL. I don't know who has the most points over the last 5-6 years or so, but Florida's got to be right up there near the top at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I know they didn't have that great a year last year when they went to the final, but it's because they had a poor start. Overall, they've been good. But Game 7s will do that all the time. You see the numbers go up for the World Series. You see it happen with the NBA final. Anytime there's a series, they go up for Game 7 because the story builds. Basic entertainment storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how is this developing? It's developing to this could be the clinching. No, that could be. This is the clinching game. You will see a championship tonight.
Mm-hmm.
That helps a lot versus, maybe should I watch tonight? Is this going to be, okay, so this is going to be a blow. Okay, I know it's going to, versus a Game 7. That's what it is.
Yeah. There was actually a little bit of a Wisconsin connection with the Florida Panthers. I don't know if you heard about it. But,
maybe, but who was
the GM of the Florida Panthers, Bill Zito, former Brewer bat boy.
Really? That I did not know.
Former Brewer bat boy.
Well, that's cool.
I think he went to law school at UW Wisconsin, if I remember right. Let me see if I find it. After graduating, law school at University of Wisconsin. So, there you go.
Not a native, but a long time. But he had his formative years in Wisconsin.
Yep.
Very cool.
Does not mean I'm a Florida Panthers fan though. So,
well, you're already a fan of 4 other teams, right. So that's adding on a lot.
Hudson did ask me the other day if I was still a Kraken fan or not. So,
ooh, he's already calling you out in case you jump to the Utah Hockey Club.
Yep.
What's your take on it right now after a week of thinking about it?
I will tell you, if they switch to the Yetis, I'm probably going to have to switch.
Oof.
I'm probably going to have to switch.
So what do you do with your Kraken gear?
Donate it to charity.
Your cap.
Donate it to charity.
Hey, Kasper Classic.
Put it in the Hall of Fame.
Someone else could become a Kraken fan.
My second hockey hat of all time that I ever owned. Any guesses on the first one? NHL.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Does this have anything to do with the video game?
Kind of.
Okay.
Very good.
No. Is it a Devil's Cap?
No.
All right. Who is it?
Red Wings.
Oh, okay.
Think 90s.
Yeah.
Stevie Y, Sergei Fedorov.
What was the Devils were good at that time too? That was the Jacques Lemaire.
I got a Red Wings hat from Kmart in Medford just because I needed one to complete. I tried to be a Red Wings fan because I needed to have a favorite team of every sport. So every time I played NHL 94 and 95 on Sega, I was the Red Wings. So, yep.
All the Russians on that team.
Yeah.
Ah, yes, that was a good team.
Chris Osgood at goalie. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Stevie Y, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if it's no, it's not. It's not possible to try to unless you're starting to get into the refs making calls to try to get series to go 7 games, and especially now in the betting era, really, 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 really bad idea. But that's if you want to get more eyeballs, you want to get better. All of that comes with Game 7s. It's as simple as that.
Hey, I do want to do a couple more business sports ones here, but shout out Surveyor Sam right now just chimed in here saying 7:90 a.m. crystal clear in Austin, Minnesota right now. Shout out to Minnesota.
Nice.
How about that? It's a couple hours away, right?
Yeah.
Massive signal. I like it. Thanks,
Very
Surveyor.
cool.
Thanks, Surveyor.
Over in Austin, he said?
Austin, Minnesota.
Dang.
Yep.
That is a long ways away.
Austin, Minnesota.
Uh-huh.
So, love it. Thank you, Surveyor. Appreciate that, man. So a couple more things for business sports, because it's actually been this week for teams with stadiums. It's kind of been a good week for a couple of them.
Well,
ironically,
gosh.
Ironically, there are 2 teams that came in the league together too, right? Carolina and Jacksonville back in the 90s, mid-90s.
Ah, yes.
But Carolina, I think the Jacksonville one, though, is of note because they always get rumored that they're going to move to London.
Which realistically wasn't going to happen.
Right. So will this actually shut it down now? I would hope so. But
yes, it will shut that, like the notion of them moving. They're going to play a lot of road games there still because they got a connection to London, but they are not going to move because of this city of the future, whatever, or stadium of the future.
Stadium of the future.
Which is basically the same stadium, just with a whole lot of...
Yeah, they're doing some renovations to it. So $1.4 billion renovations.
I mean, at least I'm glad they didn't decide that they had to build an entirely new one 20 years after the fact.
Yeah. The city of Jacksonville approved a $1.4 billion stadium of the future Tuesday that should keep the Jaguars in one of the NFL's smallest markets for at least another 30 years and end decades of speculation about the franchise being a potential relocation candidate. Construction would begin following the 2025 season. Jaguars would play in front of a reduced capacity, no upper deck in 2026, and then host games in Gainesville or Orlando the following year.
So I think I believe they're keeping the upper decks as is. So my understanding, if I recall correctly, I think it's the west side upper deck goes back to the Gator Bowl, because the Gator Bowl itself was demolished when they built the stadium for 95, or when the Jaguars began. So the original Gator Bowl is long gone, but the upper deck had been built in the 80s. So that's its connection. That's still going to be around. So they're keeping the guts of it. But it's this really fancy, like translucent.
Yeah, so it's an open air stadium that includes a translucent covering that's the equivalent of, quote, wearing shades in the sun. It's expected to lower outside temperatures by 15 degrees. The capacity could be expanded to 71,500 to accommodate the annual Florida-Georgia rivalry, the Gator Bowl, a college football playoff game, or the Final Four. Pools and a party deck would remain in the north end zone.
Like the basketball Final Four?
Yeah.
Wow.
So could we have like almost an outdoor Final Four thing?
I'm wondering on that, because I've been looking at some of the drawings on this, and they evolve, so I don't marry myself too much to a particular design. I got to look into that a little bit more. That seems really interesting, because they
got to have a backup in case it rains, though, right? I mean, you can't postpone that thing. So
that also, remember back in I don't remember. Was that 2011 or so when Michigan State and I think it was North Carolina played on the
Carrier?
in San Diego, and the court got super slippery because of the humidity. Pretty sure that could be a factor. It depends on what the weather is in Jacksonville, but the NCAA is very rigid about standardizing their venues. Like, you have to black out every little bit of light. Not a peep can get through, which is incredible how they do that sometimes. And then everything looks, the court, all which I get it. They're trying to keep a uniform standard. I understand why they do that. So how would they do that with an outdoor element? And also with a fully translucent roof? How in the world are you going to black that out?
Yeah,
you can't. I mean, well, maybe I shouldn't say you can't. Maybe there is a way to do it. I'm intrigued by this.
Yeah,
unless I was going to say, do they mean like a figurative Final Four for football, but college football? But no, this would be basketball.
I think when I hear Final Four, I think of basketball. So, Carolina-wise improvements, they're renovating too. Among the improvements are upgraded video and audio systems, modernized infrastructure, redesigned concourses, unique social areas with skyline views and exterior spaces for community gatherings and programming, new seating installed throughout the bowl, and there will be improved accessibility throughout the facility, designed and constructed in a way that allows individuals with a range of disabilities to have access without barriers. Restrooms also will be upgraded. So.
I saw that where they're gonna take a notch out in the corner of the stadium, that upper deck corner of the stadium that's closest to the downtown, and then fill it in, like take out the seating deck, keep the structure, and then fill it in with like party decks and standing room areas. So you'll be able to see a little bit more in the downtown. And by a little, I mean a little.
Are party decks like
Charlotte
the thing now for stadiums?
Completely. But people would prefer that over traditional suites.
It's almost like, hey, let's bring a bar into a stadium now.
And so that they can socialize
and
schmooze and maybe kind of sort of have some clue where they're at.
Not get yelled at for standing up in front of them and having to go to the bathroom and sort of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's all up, but it makes a lot of money because then people just keep buying stuff over and over. So that's what they're doing in the upper deck. Well, that's kind of akin to what happened at Progressive Field in Cleveland, and they did at Coors Field with taking out the upper deck portions and replacing it with party decks and stuff. Same thing. Again, it's if you look at the renovation designs, it's not a lot. Most of the stadium interiors, probably to the average person, I think is going to look largely the same. This one seems to be getting more pushback, but it's because of David Tepper, right?
Yeah, because they don't trust him, right? Because
he's got so much money. And
wasn't it the other practice facility from a few years ago that pulled out or something like that? Like, there was a quote from one of the councilmen. Yeah, Councilman Malcolm Graham acknowledged that some members of the council had, quote, trust issues with Tepper after his previous deals for a Panthers practice facility in Rock Hill and a practice facility for his Major League Soccer team from Charlotte fell through. One other council member voted no because of a lack of transparency on the deal and Tepper's reputation, quote, saying, it sounds real good until we get Mr. Tepper angry, and then he might throw something at city council. Referencing throwing a drink at a fan. So
yeah,
that he did. So,
oh my gosh. Well, yeah, because it's the combination of his wealth, which is high for NFL owner standards, and that he's overseen the Panthers falling into one of the most embarrassing franchises in the league. So let's give him some money. But I was listening to this morning. Andrew Brandt did the Ross Tucker, where they go replay the Ross Tucker pod on the Andrew Brandt podcast. And this is the ultimate socialized cost, privatized profit. That's Brandt's line. He came up with that. I think he came up with it. But that's true here because who wants, as he and Ross Tucker were talking, who wants to be that Charlotte City Council member whose no vote led to the Charlotte Panthers moving? I have no idea where they move. That's the problem. Well, but what if?
To kind of bring it back now, maybe to a little Wisconsin related, the new president for the Packers, Mr. Ed Policy, by the way, who called it?
You.
Yeah. Everybody did, though, so I can't really.
You and thousands of others.
But, okay. Ed Policy, one of his big things that he was in charge of in Green Bay was what? Titletown District.
Mm-hmm.
Got to imagine that was a big factor and obviously with his experience in different levels of football, and we know about his dad and the 49ers and such, but the business side of it, that's with all the stadium stuff and all the other stuff, I got to imagine that was a big selling point to keep, growing that brand in Green Bay, not necessarily hiring a quote football guy to run it. It's a business guy to run that franchise.
Right. Which, and in that same pod, they were talking about that specific thing of not hiring a football person to be the president of the Green Bay Packers. And I guess in a way that's kind of a good thing. I think that was the gist of their takeaway. And of course, Brant's really going to know. Because as he was talking about, he was in the running to get
he put his name in when Mark Murphy got hired.
Right.
Yeah.
And he said he didn't have any interest in it this time. I mean, imagine that.
I don't know. I'd be curious to know if they reached out to him.
I guess it's possible. I'm guessing they probably knew where they wanted to go.
Yeah. I did find it interesting that one report said the NFL was pushing the Packers to hire a minority or a woman candidate.
Understandable. They want to get more of those, more minorities, more women in higher profile roles. I understand that. And I mean, hopefully it wasn't a token interview either. I hope.
No, it sounds like Jason Wright was a finalist.
Oh, really?
The Washington president. So
interesting.
Yeah, he was a finalist. So
okay. I'm generally wary of anyone associated with Washington. Just they've not seemed to be that well run, and the Packers have been well run. But ultimately, this allows the takeaway in the pod was this still allows the football people to do the football things, and the business folks, the president, to work on building, like you said, the brand, the franchise, all of the other non-sports, pure sports stuff. It's been working really well. That is an admirable organization. Whatever anyone's fandom says, that is.
The one thing that worries me about having an owner that is so, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't be a fan of the team. They should be. But an owner that is so involved into the team where they start getting involved in personnel decisions, that's what worries me. That's why I don't necessarily want from a Packers president. Like we see that, right? David Tepper's one of them. We're hearing about that with Washington's owner, Josh Harris, getting involved in football decisions. Jerry Jones is the perfect example, right? I mean, that's the clear-cut one.
Yep.
Where I almost want my owners, yes, be a fan, obviously, but when you start dabbling into personnel decisions, that's where I get really nervous.
Especially if you're not a football person already. Like you didn't come up as a general manager.
Yep.
You don't have the background. You're just doing it because, hey, it's my team. Oh, great. So basically you're a fan that just happens to own the team.
Right, exactly.
Steve Cohen there's been concern of that in New York.
That's a good example.
With baseball. I'm not sure how bad it's really gotten, but
I feel like we almost need to wait till next year or the year after, let David Stearns kind of
do
his thing.
Because now it feels like Cohen's got who he wants. So now what happens if, the Mets have been doing better.
And that one's a little bit different because at least in baseball, they don't have a salary cap. So, I mean, if the owner wants to keep shelling out money, he can keep shelling out money.
That's true. I mean, we've seen that. Look what the Padres did in Peter Seidler's last years of his life. He decided, no, I'm going all in. But
and
again,
look at like Dan Snyder, what he did in free agency, Albert Haynesworth.
Right. That's a problem. When when you have a limit, it could really screw you up if you have no clue what you're doing and you're going to insert yourself because I'm a fan and I got the money. So you can't say, oh, great. So in Tepper's case, I mean,
didn't Carolina Panthers fans have signs out leading up to the draft or something like that in the offseason saying don't let Tepper make the picks or decisions? Because it was the whole Bryce Young thing.
I may have heard of that, and if I didn't, it does not surprise me.
I think it was at a coffee shop. They had it out in a sign or something like that.
Oh, was that the one where he went in and got angry? Okay, no, that. And then he was caught on camera, like a security camera going in and complaining about it.
Something like that, yeah.
Gosh. He seemed like a breath of fresh air when he came in. And
because he was like part owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Right. And he seemed to have all these like different ideas, like, ooh, let's try this. Like, okay, breaking into the club. This is neat.
Yep.
Well, sometimes that can work. You can get a Mark Cuban that's really small p, non-political, progressive with regards to the sport. And then you can have Tepper.
Yeah.
No easy way out.
Nice lyric.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right, we'll take a quick break, and we'll be back. Let's talk some baseball coming up after these quick words. Let us know where we should be taking the mobile man cave. We want to go and check out some places. We got I got a list of some towns and some cities we're gonna check out for as part of our sports town kind of project we're working on this summer. But if you got any ideas, let us know. Hit us up. Hit me up with the message. Like, dude, you should stop over here. You should do a show over here. You should do a podcast over there. Big thanks to Woods and Water Realty, the Elbow Room, Toys and Ford, Carpet City Flooring Center, partners with the Mobile Man Cave. All right, I gotta announce our next bracket here quick before we get to some baseball talk. Okay.
Yes.
Our next matchup, and I got to put it up on the socials here. We're going back to the Bucks/Open region. All right, in honor of the first round of the NBA draft tonight, which I know all of you are so excited about tonight.
Of course.
You can't even like just hold it in. I mean, it's just oozing the excitement.
Make the pick.
You know, should have planned this better, but we should have had the drinking. You know what? We're going to do this part of as picks and predicts. Over under how many times Wingspan and all that is brought up tonight by Jay Billis.
The classics. Yeah.
I love Jay Billis. He's my favorite. I love the fact that he embraces it though too. He does, right? He'll embrace it. So,
Yeah.
But we'll do that coming up on picks and predicts. But here's your matchup. I'll put it up on Facebook and Twitter here in just a couple minutes. The great Tim Thomas, former Milwaukee Buck, right? Or Andy North, the golfer, who has won 2 U.S. Opens. Originally from Thorpe, Wisconsin. So there you go.
Nice.
Got a little bit interesting one there. So I'll put it up on Facebook and Twitter in just a few minutes.
I mean, my vote would be Andy North.
Mm-hmm.
But
This is where it's going to be interesting. Do people go with how many people actually, first of all, still remember Andy North? He's still around people. I mean, but
he gets more attention, honestly, because of Scott Van Pelt. And I
Right.
mean that in a good way.
yeah,
And he gets a lot more, and that sure helps cachet with a younger demographic.
Yep.
Given SVP's, I mean, he's not at 100 in terms of Q rating, but he's pretty close.
yeah. But how many people actually realize a little Thorpe connection over there?
That I did not know.
Oh, you didn't know that?
I did not know Andy. I knew Andy North from Wisconsin. I did not know Thorpe.
Okay, yeah.
Which makes me wonder, has Scott Van Pelt ever been to Thorpe? Given how often they hang out?
I was actually just watching a clip of SVP's show from last night when he had Stuart Scott's daughters on the show last night because it's the 10th anniversary of his speech at the ESPYs. So SVP's the best.
Yes.
He's the best.
I listen. His pod is like the one that I will almost always listen to on regular speed just because he and Stanford Steve, everyone knows. It's probably my favorite on-air anchor, period.
Yep.
That actually, because I know we got to get to baseball, but this came up. I was thinking about this listening to the podcast that came last night. He was talking about interviewing Paul Maurice after the Panthers won the Cup and how enjoyable that was. Side note, listen to the beginning of the latest SV pod talking about moments with coaches and after they win a title. That's all I'll say. Listen to it. It's really cool. It doesn't take that long. But as they're talking about how much he enjoyed talking to Paul Maurice, and they started talking about like Gino Auriemma and other folks that have that good style. And so I started to think, who are the best coaches / managers to watch at a press conference, listen to in an interview, just to talk? None of us in person, obviously. But if you know they're coming to a press conference, they're going to have a quote, you're probably clicking on the clip to watch it because it's going to be good.
Recency effect, I'd put Pat Murphy in there right now.
Well, that's probably it's a good option there.
Yeah.
But those kinds, like I actually think Coach Calipari's been a good Tom Izzo.
Yeah.
Where
I've been to a Tom Izzo presser in person.
Mm-hmm. What did you? I don't remember what you said. I
mean, it was after a Final Four loss, so I mean, it really wasn't a whole. I mean, you got to imagine he was down. So
right.
But that was also the one where Chris Beard was Texas Tech coach.
Yeah.
And Brandon and I have told this story many times, but there was a young reporter there. We knew what he was asking, but he phrased it poorly. And actually he phrased it like, you guys aren't supposed to be here.
Oh, yeah.
Sort of thing. And I think what he was trying to say is like, nobody thought you would be here. But the way he phrased it, like, you guys aren't supposed to be here. And to credit to Chris Beard, but I think he was trying to talk himself down too, but he kept re-saying the phrase, I appreciate the question. I appreciate the question. I appreciate the question.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, but what do you mean that we're not supposed to be here? I understand what he was trying to say.
Yeah.
But afterwards, seeing the amount of reporters go up to that young man and just pat him on the back and shake their heads, like, dude, you screwed up.
Yeah. Oh, but I wonder who that reporter is.
I don't know.
I'd love to find like a transcript and see if it turned into like some major reporter or someone like that.
Yeah.
Oftentimes it'll happen. Someone will do something stupid. You're like, oh, wow, they really resuscitated not resuscitated, but they turned it a pretty good career. Yeah. But that's an interesting thought process. Who are the coaches and managers that are the most fun to hear? Because they're always going to have something insightful, or it's maybe their delivery. Maybe they don't really reveal much, but there's something about their personality, their style, what they have to say, what they think, that's worth watching, because there's so many coaches that delve right into coach speak, and I don't care.
Right.
But there's a few that are really good.
Who would be the one in the NFL right now?
Mike McDonald. Or wait, Mike McDaniel.
Oh, Mike McDaniel. Yeah, that would be a
Michael
Yep.
McDonald. My gosh.
I was going to say, we haven't had one from him yet.
Music brain kicking it.
Well, that's Seattle's coach now.
Yeah,
McDonald.
or I was thinking of Michael. That's a whole nother one.
Yeah, I think you're right. McDaniels.
Yeah, and that, again, so different. Like, okay, what's coming here?
Mhm.
Tomlin. You kind of know what you're getting from Tomlin, but he's Tomlin. And they mentioned on the pod, too, that's been SVP's favorite for a long time.
We're kind of overlooked. Dan Campbell.
Yes.
Biting kneecaps.
He's moved into that territory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Really quick, Brewers back in action tonight, looking for a sweep here. After their win last night, 3-1. Pat Murphy, a lot of love for Pat. I mean, Yahoo Sports. We talked about the article from the other day here too, but Pat Murphy getting a lot of love right now, rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, I think it's working out a whole lot better than what the Brewers and fans both expected from Pat Murphy right now. So, I mean, Q rating's got to be through the roof. There was saw it a couple days ago when the Brewers posted a quote from that Yahoo Sports article from Pat Murphy, where he talks about how he gets choked up when he sees his players go up there with confidence and they succeed and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know once in a while when you go on a team Facebook page or Twitter account and you look at the comments, it could be a dangerous thing.
Mm-hmm.
There was so many positive stuff. Even one person said on there, I can't remember the last time I was on a team page where there was all positive comments, which they were right. I mean, because you go to a Packer one, gosh, there's negative stuff. Usually you got some negative people on there.
With everything.
Right. And I started busting out laughing. I'm like, but that person's exactly right. Like, does anybody have anything negative to say about Pat Murphy right now?
Right now, no. I mean, it sure helps that the Brewers are performing way better than expected in his first season, and he's got...
And the Cubs stink, and they're still in last place.
The last place Chicago Cubs?
By 10 games.
Yeah.
Double digit now.
Behind all the other teams in the NL.
I will say last week when we did this thing, you and I did.
Yeah.
And then the Cubs moved up to third. I'm like, crap.
we were playing with... No, they
then they fell back down.
They're back in last place again.
Yep.
Right
10 games.
So. But it helps, all of that, the personality, the filling in for Council's role. He's taken that on. Also, probably a bit of a thought of, he's not going to be there. I mean, who knows? Maybe somehow he has 20 years left in him. Highly doubt that. But I think there's this thought of he's the bridge to the next generation.
That's what, I mean, I thought, a lot of us thought, okay, he's there for a couple of years and then Ricky Weeks is the guy.
Mm-hmm. Right.
At this point, I'm like, take your time, Pat.
Yeah. And that may still be the case, but so far, very good. Mm-hmm. So of course the rating's going to be high. Now, if he ends up making a very curious managerial choice in a series that the Brewers could win in the playoffs, and because he brought in this reliever instead of that reliever, or he leaves a guy in too long and now they lose and this was their shot to move on, we'll see. But of course, that's the criticism that you should get at that point. It's not like I'll use the Twins fans as an example. You rarely are going to find a Rocco Baldelli defender. There's a few out there you'll find that'll be vocal about it, but the fire Rocco thing is almost like ingrained at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It's the opposite right now. The default is towards, again, early, but the default is to like Pat Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of reasons for that.
Right. No, I agree. So, all right. Shall we take a break and do some picks and predicts?
Let's
have a little fun with it. So I found this. This is from last year. This Twitter account hasn't done it this year yet, but we're going to use last year's Twitter account for this because it's called the official unofficial drinking game for the draft. Jay Billis ravages sobriety, but is not affiliated with his Twitter. Please drink responsibly. They got it typed out here. So
nice.
Yeah, we might do that here. So we'll take a quick break here. That might be the only way to get through this draft if you have to watch it.
Probably.
Grab some beverages.
Yeah.
Maybe grab some Man Cave Light and get through this.
Why not?
So, yeah. All right, quick break. We'll be back to finish up things after these words. Wrapping things up here on this Wednesday morning with some picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room. It is trivia night, but also maybe if you want to post up somewhere to watch the draft tonight, head on over to the Elbow Room, located right next to the Banbury Place in Eau Claire. So I found a different one. I think I'm going to use the Bro Bible one from a couple of years ago because it's a little bit easier. Was this one, and I like it. So, but first, before we get to some, I guess, prop bets, if you will, for the they got to have like prop bets like they do for the Super Bowl for the NBA draft. Anyways, do the Brewers pick up a win tonight or this afternoon against the Rangers to complete the sweep?
See, so
It's a little TBD for starting pitcher for the Brewers, which makes me think off day tomorrow might be a bullpen start.
Oh boy. Rangers have going today Eovaldi. I'll take the Brewers.
I'm gonna go with the Rangers. Twins, do they get a win today?
They've got Woods Richardson, who's in the running for Rookie of the Year, mind you. I think they do.
Okay.
Good to see them. They are becoming kind of like the Brewers. I shouldn't say becoming. They have been kind of a good comeback team late. They almost pulled it off again last night. I think they pull it off again. I think they actually do get the win tonight.
All right. I will go with the Twins too. How about Atlanta at St. Louis?
Oh boy. The surging Cardinals. The Braves have actually been doing okay of late. I'll take the Braves.
I'm gonna go with the Braves. Let's go Toronto at Boston.
The surging Red Sox as well. Yeah. I will take Boston.
I am going to go with Toronto. Okay. And then let's do a couple more. Last place, Chicago Cubs at the Giants.
We milk this as long as we can. Gosh, two teams that are rocky situations right now.
Yep.
I'll take Chicago.
No, I'm going to go with Giants. I was going to take Chicago, but I can't. So
I think I might be starting to hedge my bets against the baseball gods.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I'm not a diehard Brewers fan, but I get annoyed with the Cubs.
Yeah,
I'm not anti-Cubs, but I get annoyed with them. So I will go Team Brewer on this one.
One more, Cleveland at Baltimore.
Oh boy! Now Cleveland has the best record in the American League, and it is tomorrow is the halfway point of the season in terms of numbers of games played.
Yep.
My gosh, they're still doing this. I think Baltimore finally gets a win in this run. Baltimore's been a little rocky of late. I wonder when they're going to make their trade, if they're going to do a little bit of a mini panic.
I'm going to go Baltimore with this one.
I hope Baltimore wins. I'd like to have some shot of the Twins maybe getting within maybe visibility of Cleveland sometime this season. Right. I don't know if it's going to happen.
Who will be the number one pick tonight?
I know
seems there's a little bit more now of a consensus trending.
Yeah.
With, is it Richard?
Yeah. Like I was seeing a little bit that Klingon could be the guy, maybe. But I think, Rasad. I'm going to know his name very soon.
Yeah.
Probably. But I don't know what Atlanta's going to do. I could see them trading out too.
All right. So let's do a little fun here. If you have to watch, if you have to watch the draft or if you just want some way to get wasted tonight on a Wednesday night, I don't know. Maybe wasted.
Nice.
This might be a way to do it. Maybe I guess have a little fun with this. So get your pencils out, kids. It's this was from Bro Bible from the draft a couple of years ago. Drink if the terms, quote, great upside, character issues, health concerns, or red flags are used. Any prospect is having a, quote, chip on their shoulder. Fran Fraschilla is brought out to describe a Euro prospect.
Nice.
Bill Simmons makes any reference to the Celtics outside of their own pick. Jalen Rose brings up his draft day suit. Yep. Jay Billis says wingspan. Jay Billis describes any player as his, quote, best player available or best player on the board.
Of course.
ESPN cuts to a shot of a player on the phone. The Lakers are mentioned, which might be a lot, especially in the second round, depending on how that goes. Any trade that happens, any player that is described as a, quote, project. And this one's a little bit old, but it said, chug absinthe if Adam Silver is cheered, because that means you are officially watching the second round of the draft and it's time to get rowdy.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
Which does not apply anymore.
No, does not.
'cause
So
now it's moved over.
Yep.
Over under Bronny James mentions tonight.
Tonight alone,
Let's see, I got to put this number fairly high.
Yep.
And I know the main broadcast probably isn't going to delve too much into this. This is more of a talk show thing as opposed to, and we were waiting for Bronny James. Let's assess They're not going to do that because they actually have to analyze the picks. From the moment I'm going to call it from, and I don't know if anyone's going to track this, when Adam Silver says the Hawks are on the clock. I'm trying to do a Silver impression. He just doesn't have a good voice for that. Let's put it at 27.5. Over under Bronny James mentions from the moment the draft opens until the last pick is made. So if he doesn't get drafted,
first round or the second round?
First round.
First round only. Okay.
Tonight only. So if he doesn't get drafted, stops. 27.5 total Bronny James mentions. That could be like Bronny James. 1, 2, 3.
I'll go under, but I still think it's in the 20s.
No. I'm going to take the over because
that's think about it. It's almost a mention per pick.
It sort of is. I'm anticipating some team. There's some rumors start to fly that, oh my gosh, this really is going to happen. And then that turbocharges the number. So I'm going to take the over.
Okay. I'm going to go slightly under. Just because I have it in my mind. I'm like, could they really mention him almost per pick?
Mm-hmm.
God.
Yep. Brace yourself.
Should also have one on here over under how many times Stephen A. Smith is freaking out about his Knicks. I see that's on the ESPN homepage. They put a video of him celebrating the Knicks pick for all the flack they got during that Eastern Conference Finals game.
Game 7.
The
Knicks broadcast.
Yeah. They're still embracing it. It's right on their homepage with Stephen A. Smith.
I did like it. I don't know who it was on Twitter. I just saw it. The Nova Knicks. That was know that was the ESPN title, and I love that one. Someone said the city edition for next year should be a Villanova jersey.
Ooh, yeah.
Well, at this point.
Well, I'm just saying now, if Tom Thibodeau wears out his welcome, which kind of tends to happen with him once in a while.
Yes.
Jay Wright might be wanting to make that jump finally.
Yes.
You know that's going to happen if Tom Thibodeau.
There's going to be so much talk. Might as well.
Yep. It's going to be out there. So.
Oh, boy.
All right, DP and the Danettes, they're up next. Have yourself a fantastic rest of your Wednesday. We'll do this again tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., just at past 6 a.m. Have a good one. Talk to you then.